1. All right, we are live.
All right.
So yeah, all right, everybody that's tuned in and watching and whatever. We'll have to repeat this because people come and go and all that shit. But like, we've got Jake, this flounder-headed, long-haired piece of shit.
I do need a haircut.
Your right, my left, and then we've got Josh Murray from Jmurray1944.
Hey,
who is arguably, I would say, the best M1 helmet restoration service in the world, or if you want to, whatever, the country. So,
wow.
No, I honestly, you are like, it's really cool because I've known about you since 2002, a year after you started your business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I had a friend of mine who I'm still friends with. It's my parents' friends, but like he was into helmet collecting and he bought something from, I can't remember what the fuck it was. It was a helmet, but like I don't remember what configuration or whatever. And he's like, yeah, this is like so cool. And I'm sitting there as like because in 2002 I was 12 years old, and I'm like, yeah, I know I'm a youngin', and yeah. Oh, you said I make you feel old? Yeah, you just wait. But no, I was feeling the cork finish and everything, and looking at the chin straps, and I'm like, oh god. And I couldn't afford it at the time. Obviously, I'm 12 years old and I can't get a job, and whatever. And I'm like, oh god, someday I'm gonna have a bunch of M1s, and now I do, which is cool.
Yeah, you do. I remember you were on a tear there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's like so myself and the director of Reveille, like we just were buying front seams left and right on eBay, right? Whether they were swivel. We'll talk about the bail argument too, because I read your blog post about that. And that is a great thing to talk about because there are loops. Yes. But everybody seems to say bail. So it's like, well, if you're going to communicate with people in general, they're going to know what bail means instead of loop. Like, what is a loop?
Yes.
So, but we'll talk about that in a second.
It's the tomato.
Correct. And so, but I had a bunch of swivel looped helmets, like shells. And I'm like, I need these converted to fixed loop. And you were like, yeah, go ahead. And so I sent you a box of a few of them. You did it and you fucking finished them up and whatever, and then fixed a bunch of liners that were fucked. And then it was like, okay, we had them for the film and they looked great. They were amazing, perfect, everything. And yeah, so that was the most recent. But like I've been buying stuff from you for years, just like little orders of like random shit.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's it's a very niche thing, and that's a very risky market to get into as a small business. It's a very risky thing, but if you're the best and you have the most like research behind it and you do it correctly, well, then you're the one. You know what I mean? Like it, and there's very few people that can do that in this sort of industry, I think. So yeah, it's very cool.
It's kind of amazing. If I remove myself from it, which I do often, and just look at it, it's it can be very strange outside looking in. And I get that a lot with like UPS delivery people. Or like if we get a new mail carrier, they're at some point they're always going to be like, what are you constantly putting in the back of my truck?
Yeah.
So I get a lot of that, but I think for me, I think you can do anything you want if you stick to it. You got to stick to it consistently.
Absolutely.
Stick to it. And I think right away I realized how small the helmet world really is, even though it's global.
Mm-hmm.
Like guys and gals I never thought I would ever meet. And you're at the show of shows and you're walking around with your shirt that says J Murray Inc. And somebody will tap you on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, I'm from Denmark, and I buy your helmets." And I'm
right.
Like, because you're like, and then you think you're like, I hope I treated you right.
Yeah, it's weird, yeah, because like you said, stick with it, and that's why like I've been selling surplus since about 2015, like seriously. Before that, it was just kind of a side thing, but like, and it's like. There's been ups and downs. It's any small business owner knows how this goes.
Yes.
And it's like there's ups and downs, but I'm still passionate about it. And it's like you're passionate about helmet restoration and the history of the M1 helmet and getting the best product to people. And it's like, if you're passionate about it, you really can't fail. That's my opinion from having done like something. Like, if you stop losing the passion for it, yeah, you're done. It's over.
Yep.
But yeah, it's, you know, the obsession is, it can work for you very well in a small business.
You have to keep it kindled, though.
Absolutely. Yes.
You know,
yep.
Because, you know, what you might not see is like how many hours I stand in front of a sandblast cabinet. And let me tell you, sometimes you want to take the sandblast gun and see how quickly you can shoot that silica through the one side of your temple out the other.
Yep. Because you're just like, what the fuck am I? What? I want it to be done.
A lot of times, I'll go in the house a lot of times, and if like this week I've been painting a lot, so then I go in and my work shirt is green on the shoulders from the settling, and I'll go in, I go, you know, I'm not a helmet guy, I'm a painter.
Right.
You know? So there is that. But what's really nice is when you work with these every day, but then you get like an original comes across your plate and you're like, oh, I found
but that 29th lieutenant, that fucking helmet. I have a good friend of mine who edited Reveille, who's a 29th reenactor, and he lives in Maryland.
Okay.
And I didn't show him that because I knew he'd be like, his dick would get hard and he'd be like, I need to buy that. And he's like, I'm like, dude, you need to fucking stop spending money on shit.
Yeah.
But that fucking helmet, it's a beautiful example.
It might be, for me, I've had 29ers in the past because back in the good old days when we could fly out to Ogden, Utah and pick through helmets as large as helmet field. Like, so imagine a football field, and then imagine that football field being stacked 6 feet deep with helmets.
I can't.
Yeah. That's the good old days. And in there, I think I found 16 original 29th helmets.
God damn.
But that was back in 2002.
Yeah.
And you would sell one, and if you got like $400 for it, you were like, man, this is awesome, because you know how much the helmets cost were $2 a piece.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get that rush. You get a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's like it's sort of like the same thing with gambling, right?
Yeah.
Once you get that dopamine hit and you win, you just want that win. And it's like, but with surplus in general, or anything like, you know, we're working with, it's a finite amount.
Yeah.
And so it's not always going to be there. And there you get the lows.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't find shit right now.
Yep.
Oh, fuck.
Yep.
I'm just trying to make it by and pay the bills. And then all of a sudden you get another one. You get another fucking peak. And it's like, that's awesome. And so, because I keep a lot of the things that I get in surplus that are unique, right? Whether it's European or whatnot, whatever the fuck part of the world it's coming from. If there's something really unique, I'll keep it. But I've realized that I had to narrow it down.
Well, what do you do if someone wants it more than you?
There you go. What I do is I price it at a price where I'm like, nobody's going to pay this unless they want it more than me.
Right.
For certain things, like for most of the shit that I sell, I'm just like, yeah, I want you guys to have this because it's fucking cool. But for unique items, I'm like, I'm going to price this so fucking stupid that if you want it more than me, it's absolutely yours.
Yep.
And it's worked out most of the time.
But what if it is truly one of a kind? Then what? It's tough, isn't it?
It's because here's the thing is like you and I and Jake, to an extent, we're collectors. We love history. We love this shit.
I love ruining it. I do it every day.
No, you fucking don't. We'll get into that too. We'll get into that in a bit.
Can I throw in a question real quick?
Yeah.
Without this is for both of you. Without going into detail on how without going into trade secrets, how do you guys find your surplus?
That's a great question.
It's a lot of
dumb luck. There's a saying.
I was just gonna say it's a lot of like
there's
when
a
the
saying,
opportunity presents itself, you have to have cash on hand.
Yes.
And that's it. Yeah.
Yes. I have leveraged our house twice.
But
really?
How do you find the opportunities, Mike?
No, people come to us most of the time.
They'll come. So one of the beautiful things, there's a lot of great things about having an internet presence, and there's a lot of bad things about it too. But I think the good outweighs the bad, because when you've been around consistently for so long, someone finds a pile of helmets at a flea market, and they go home and they Google M1 helmet. And then I come up first in the feed, and they're like, oh, what's this guy all about? And then they email me and they're like, hey, I found a pile of helmets.
Yep.
And then I'll be like, well, do you want to sell them, or what are your plans? And you just get a conversation going. And often, this could rabbit hole very quickly, but often they want to have one or two of the best ones, and then the rest they just want to sell to kind of pay for everything else. Those are the best folks right there.
So you get cold called by
a lot.
Yeah, a lot. I do too. I get people that go, hey, I get emails all the time. Like, I have this collection of blah, 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 whatever. I've had it for 40 years or whatever, and I just want to get rid of it now. What can you offer? And I'm like, well, send me a list of what you have, and we'll make it fair for both of us. But you understand that I'm in retail, so I need to mark this up, and I need to get it for as little as possible without fucking you over.
Correct.
And then it's like, most of the time it doesn't work out. It really doesn't. Because
is that how you get some of your like new old stock stuff that was just found in a warehouse somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. For me, like, Josh is like, he's very specific on like, M1s and stuff. And it's like, I'm more diversified, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I'll do European stuff. We get the Norwegian helmets, but yeah, go ahead, Josh.
The cat's going to jump across. This is my arm petting my cat. Okay, Pickles, get control of yourself. Okay.
Yeah. So when you cut out,
a cat, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
Finding surplus. Okay, so there's a couple different. When you're first starting out, what I used to do, the internet was still young, I think.
Yeah. Oh,
and
for sure.
What I would do is I would go on the internet and I would type in. I would just pick a random city. I don't know, usually around a base, and I would type in surplus store. And then I would get a list of 10 different surplus stores, and then I would call them, and I'd spark up a conversation, and I'd be like, well, I have a real keen interest in M1 helmets, and what I'm looking for is just anything that you might snap into the helmet or snap out of the helmet, or the helmet itself, or the insert, the helmet liner. And a lot of these people, this is back in 1999 and 2000, so it's after Saving Private Ryan, but pre-Band of Brothers.
Yep.
And there'd
back
be
when interest was still on the incline.
Yeah,
still on the way up.
Yes, and they would be more than happy to get rid of the 10 boxes of sweatbands that they've had since 1965.
Yep.
And they don't know what to do with them. I mean, back then what they would do, and this is like something that you would never do now, they would write the price that they wanted on the surplus. So you'd buy 10 sweatbands and you get them in the mail, and every single one of them on the leather would say 25 cents, literally written in pen. And you'd be like, oh, well, you'd be happy to, I'm always happy to get them, but I have all kinds of surplus even to this day that has like prices written on it. So that's what I would do. I would just call people. I found a guy sold me 150 World War I haversacks for $3 a piece. Now, 20 of them were like straight up dry rotted, but the rest of them were all great. And then I'd sell them on eBay or whatever. Yeah. So,
Yep. That's how you do it. Yep.
But then when you have an internet presence like you or like me, then people find you. So I don't have to work at that so much anymore with cold calling and everything. And you also network. I mean, a lot of these guys you can get along with and buy, sell, trade. And there's really not that many clowns. There's some clowns out there, but there's not that.
But it's like less than 1% of the people you deal with.
Yeah.
And you can identify it pretty quick, and you're just like, yeah, fuck you, bye.
Yeah.
Like, goodbye.
Yeah, I always know how a deal's going to go by how many minutes goes by before the tinfoil hat comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely.
Yep.
Yeah,
if it comes out in the first 2 minutes, oh man, it's going to be a long day. Anyways, yeah, it's good times.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a good question is because like people always ask like on my YouTube channel, like the comment, like, where do you find all this stuff? And it's like,
yep,
it's not all in one place. It's like you have to know where to get these little hidey holes of people, and then people will contact you and et cetera, et cetera. And that's why it's fun. I honestly think it's fun. And if it sustains you. What?
That sounds kind of like me in tracking down old John Deere stuff. You know, I just network with people. I've got a couple of really solid connections that I've made through Facebook on guys who just, you know, tear down and part out machines that, you know, I have a couple of. And like both of my lawn tractors, that random topic change, but both my lawn tractors are both 1985 John Deeres. Really hard to find parts for those freaking things these days.
Yeah.
Like actual original parts for them. I can go to the John Deere dealer and pay $150 for a part, or I can network with guys that are parting out machines and get the same part for $30.
Yep.
Right. And isn't the beauty of like Marketplace for stuff like that? I mean,
oh God, Facebook Marketplace is a godsend.
It is.
Yeah.
And it you know,
I found both of my John Deeres on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. It's awesome. And so that's a double-edged sword too, though, because eBay
scammers.
Well, eBay drove up M1 helmet prices, but eBay also allowed us to find more M1 helmets and parts and liners. So it's kind of like, well, did it help and did it hurt? Yes. Do I think mostly it was a benefit? I do. I mean,
because more people are aware of it now, and they like you said, it's a double-edged sword. It's like, I don't like buying inventory at inflated prices because they can, and then having to mark it up, you know, and whatever. But on the other hand, it's like, well, people are actually appreciating the history behind this item, and you know, in my case, like a lot of the shit's practical, like raincoats, fucking, you know, whatever. But like
poncho.
Yeah, you know, it's just, you know, I still wear a surplus raincoat. I wore it today because it was raining. It's nasty out. But I wore that, and people got that. But also, surplus is not. It's never guaranteed. So it's like what you have right now, Josh, could be what you have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know, it could just all be done and over with, or you could find a huge cache of M1 shells. No, he really could. Like, I'm not.
No, Mike, check out the chat. What were we talking about before we went live?
Oh, we'll get there. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, Michael Mitchell. Yeah, we'll get there. So, yeah, it's just with surplus in general, and honestly, the fact that you've done it since 2001 and fucking it's your business, and you know, because I know a little bit about your backstory and everything, like, you know, what happened, and that's fucking awesome because you have a passion for it, you're good at it, and shit just seems to work out once in a while. Because like, and then also, like I was saying, is like when somebody says, yeah, I have Like we were talking about the thing the other day with the thing in Pakistan, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've got the money and you want to do it, you have to have the money. That's the problem. Is like, okay, yeah, because people that are dealing in these big lots of shit, it's not cheap. It's very expensive to buy a huge lot of shit at one time.
Yes, it is. And it's usually just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Yep.
all of a sudden I have 400, and I don't have 400. I'm just making this number up. I have 400 rusty British World War II helmets.
Yep.
Okay. Number one, I know nothing about British helmets. Not a thing. To me, they look like a doughboy helmet. But if you show that helmet to a guy who's into British helmets, and I've already gotten an education, I like.
Yep, I'm sure. Yep.
Like the fixed bail helmet equivalent to a British helmet is anything that's dated before 1940.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay, so I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So,
it's insane. And some of those, I could be thinking of something else, but like I think some of those were Canadian as well.
Yeah,
and that's cool.
Yeah.
And I have from a source who knows this that in Canada, those Mark II shells, they have stacks of them up there.
Oh yeah, I believe
and
it.
So, but here's the thing: is like if you can make something like a 1917 A1, you know, out of those, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's it's going to be my winter thing. My winter
project.
Every winter, I try to pick something that's like new to me that I can like, and usually it's M1 helmet related. So like that's where the jungle liners that I was reproducing came from, is like winter boredom. So I think this.
By the way, they look awesome. By the way, just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
I saw them down at Backhander in Ohio.
Okay,
like I was at that event.
Were there guys wearing them?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, good.
Fuck yeah.
They look good, don't they?
See, they look great.
And when I say that, that's not. It's in spite of myself, because I didn't put that artwork on those. My buddy did that.
Right. No, but these guys were fucking excited. They're like, you see what I got? And I'm like, yeah, I know where that came from. It's Josh Murray. Yeah.
Oh, that's
like,
so cool.
And they were like, this is fucking awesome. And I'm like, it was hotter than two rats fucking in a wool sock down there. It was nasty.
Okay.
It was, I think it was the hottest weekend.
Oh, it was
of the year recorded when we were down there in late July.
Yep.
And it was fucking disgusting. So these people were wearing, like, when they were not on the line, quote unquote, and they were wearing them off the line. And I'm like, yep. Awesome.
Nice.
And I'm like, yeah. No, they look great. And
good.
The guys fucking loved them.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. Because they're so hard to get. The originals are almost impossible to get.
I bought one today.
You bought one?
Yep. I have a brand new jungle liner in my. Do I have it here? Oh, it's over there. It's so mint. I can't even believe it.
You got an original unissued jungle liner?
It's unissued. Yeah. I bought it today.
Just go up and grab it and show
Can I get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll go grab it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jake, this is nerd shit.
I know.
It's fucking.
I'm learning.
I'm
listening
awesome.
and learning.
Oh shit.
So, Jake,
I just saw you were carrying it over. Holy fuck.
Yeah, this is this actually has been holed up in a guy's collection, and he only lived about 20 minutes away from me.
Is that just the liner?
Yep.
Yeah. So Josh, can you explain? Yeah, can you explain the whole jungle liner, like the theory and how they were made and all that shit?
Yeah.
I know you did a blog post about it, but
yeah, aren't they silly though?
Retarded.
Yeah.
Stupid. It's like, what the fuck are you wearing a liner for in the jungle?
It's like what's the point of this? Because you've got a steel helmet over it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bump cap, maybe.
Yeah.
No, they literally like so. Yeah, Josh, if you want to go into this a little bit,
okay, I will.
It'd be great because it's fucking hilarious. It's stupid.
One of the I'm gonna do my absolute best to stay on task. If I start going Midwest on you, just like like do something.
Well,
Interrupt.
I have ADHD as well, you know,
Okay.
according to whatever.
Okay.
So yeah,
So-
I get it.
Mike and I'll just swing into more Escanaba into Moonlight quotes.
Got it.
You
Okay.
don't know where to start, go back to beginning.
My personal thing tonight is I told myself today, I said, I'm going to see how many music lyrics I can drop into this stream without anybody knowing it. I don't know. I don't think I've dropped any yet. Maybe a couple.
I
No, I
haven't
don't think you
noticed
have.
any.
Okay. But the jungle liner was part of a program. In World War II, the M1 helmet, they developed it as they were issuing it. It's kind of an interesting piece of equipment because they did not have it nailed down beforehand. And so once they started making the thing, they realized, well, these don't really have very good camouflage properties. Like if it's wet and the
Really?
moon, if it's wet and the moon is out, you can see it. The silhouette of it, even as iconic as it is, so they came up with this idea like, well, we need to have a camouflage program. And, we're good at our programs, aren't we? And
So
so,
the government never fails.
yeah, never disappoints.
Nope.
So they asked Westinghouse, can you come up with a camouflage pattern for the helmet and helmet liner? They never did the steel helmets. They just did the helmet liners. So it was supposed to be, let me put it this way. If anybody ever finds a jungle painted helmet, okay, like this, that right there is rare as a hen's tooth because nobody's ever seen one. We don't think they're ever made. So that helmet liner was just part of a camouflage program. And then once they what did they do? 700,000 of them or something like that. And then they're like, yeah, these don't work. And so they literally repaid Westinghouse just to paint them over again.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then what they ended up doing was they ended up going with the M44 helmet net, and that's the one that you start to see in like the winter and spring. Winter 44, spring 45 was the that minty colored helmet net with the elastic band. So that's the as short as I can explain it version.
That's good. It's like, again, more government dollars or taxpayer dollars rather wasted on nothing.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. To be fair, they didn't know it was nothing until the money was wasted.
That's a very optimistic way to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll spend money that's not mine. So I think that's what Uncle Sam does too. But
yeah,
there's another cheesehead in the chat.
That's my hot take.
There's another cheesehead in the chat.
So you guys can see things that I'm not seeing. That's cool.
Are you so on the right side of the StreamYard app?
YouTube chat.
Should, if you hit comments, if you look at comments.
Do I want to? Do I want to do it?
They're not bad. They're not bad. If they're like absolutely retarded, I'll just fucking I'll give them a warning and then just shit can them.
Okay.
But like, no, usually it's not bad.
Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. I live in Wisconsin. Sweet.
Yep.
This is fun.
So Walker Customs lives in northeast Wisconsin. So like Rhinelander area.
North.
Like way up
That's
there.
more north central. When
Rhinelander?
I think northeast, I think Marinette.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marinette's it's higher up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Green Bay.
Well, Green Bay is like
Marion.
Central fucking east.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
This state's fucking huge. Like, I was trying to tell it to people, and it's like, dude, Wisconsin's
like the size
of
of Germany.
It literally is.
Oh, really?
It's almost the size of Germany.
Okay.
And we've got again, like 6 million people here, or whatever, versus 6D million. But like, it's still a fucking huge patch of
area.
land.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you go 40 miles north of where I'm at, it just turns into pine trees.
Yep.
And that's
the Nordwoods. That's what I always call it on my channel. Like the Nordwoods. Yep.
Yeah.
And we're on that line too. And like, I have pine trees all over around where I'm at. It's beautiful.
It's
I don't know if I don't know how many actual people in the reenactment scene but I've got a friend who lives up in Wausau who I know he used to do World War II reenactment a few years ago.
Okay.
His name is John Langton. I don't know if you know him.
Doesn't ring a bell.
He was I just went blank. He was who is Tom who did Tom Tiffany replace? Duffy, Sean Duffy.
Sean Duffy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
He was Sean Duffy's head office guy at his office in Wausau for many years. I don't know if he's still staffer. That's the word I was looking for.
Did you say Langdon, like Lang?
Ctin, I think.
No.
It's pronounced Langton, but it's not spelled that way. He's French Canadian.
Okay. So
I give him shit for it all the time. But no, I was just wondering because I know he used to do a lot of World War II reenactment, but then he got really busy with election stuff and then real world.
Yeah, I bet he would have been an Iowa military show guy for sure.
Yeah.
I missed that show. Mike, did you ever get up to the Iowa military show?
I don't like shows.
Okay.
I don't.
Mike doesn't like people.
Mike, come on.
I mean,
he likes individual persons, but he doesn't like people.
So
yeah.
So we had a saying way back when I worked in ministry. We had a saying, "Oh, I love the ministry. It's the people I can't stand."
Yeah.
And it can be the same thing can be said for the surplus world. I love it.
Well, here's the thing: is so. So Josh, riddle me this.
Yeah.
Not riddle me this, but just what's your experience? Is I find that 99.8% of my customers are fucking awesome. They pay me, they buy a good, I ship it to them, they're happy, good to go. You get the 0.2% that are absolute fucking pricks.
I'm one of those.
No, you're not.
They're tough.
Oh no,
I know.
Trust me.
No,
you're not.
I know. I'm being a jackass on purpose.
Yeah.
Weird.
Here's how here's my secret for you to help you through that 0.2%, because the one bad apple spoils the barrel, right? Yep. I fall victim to that too. Yep. And by the way, I wanted to thank you because I have a social media rule where I argue very little with people. I let other people do it for me. And I'm like, part of the reason I sent you that T-shirt was because I'm like, thank you, Mike, for being my bulldog.
Well, I know, because it's like you better. Where the fuck? I was gonna wear that thing tonight, but I chose to wear my first pair in HPTs. But
my personal favorite is I can type in all caps too.
And then the one guy that kept. Here's the thing: is I wouldn't have commented unless it was like a consistent thing through all your posts. Like, I have this. I have 6 M1 or World War II M1 helmets. It's like, okay. And then I was like, I like tater tots.
I know.
Like, okay, I get it, but what are you trying to say? Like, I have 6 World War II M1 helmets.
It's a statement.
Congratulations.
It's like, okay, exactly. That's why I was like, I like tater tots, because it's like, who gives a fuck?
I know.
Like,
I know.
Literally, that it's honestly the thing is like these people just don't they don't get that. It's like, is it a bragging thing? Because like, I'm sure, Josh, do you have 6 World War II M1 helmets?
I do.
I have 6 holy socks.
Right.
Exactly.
That's exactly the fucking point. Yeah.
I think people are extremely they're lonely. I'm just gonna put it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of guys that follow social media, like they'll follow my page and they're like on it, and I think they need a friend. I really do.
I do too.
I try to do that, but I also And like, you know,
Yeah, but it's a professional thing. You're a business.
yeah, and you can't lay down for the nut bags because there's plenty of them too.
Uh-huh.
You know,
it's one of those things where they want to be involved with the conversation, but they don't have the social skills to be involved with the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sad, but it's like at a certain point, it's like, fuck, man.
And they don't have the self-awareness and the intelligence to be able to ask valid questions to become involved.
Right.
I have World War II helmets.
Like I've got a question that I'm sitting on right now, waiting for the right opportunity to ask.
Go for it. Right now is the right opportunity.
Because I'm actually looking at Josh's website right now, and I'm looking at the early M1 infantry helmet, early World War II infantry helmet, and I'm wondering what's the difference between early war, mid-war, and late war.
Correct.
The
yes.
shells or the liners?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here we go.
To me, an M1 helmet is an M1 helmet.
Correct, and it is an M1 helmet. Is an M1 helmet. Yep.
But
so that there is a fixed bail with a looks like a
okay. What's the bail?
Fixed bail.
This thing
right there.
The loop that the chin strap hooks to.
Yep.
Fuck. Let me go grab it. Let me grab a swivel.
Yeah, do that. And I have some props too. I brought props.
See, I was waiting because I like asking the questions because, you know, Mike knows this stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's already involved with this. You know, I can ask the questions that maybe some people who are watching don't have the opportunity to ask.
No, it's perfect. This is actually a really great
This is what we're gonna do, and that's why I always have props too, like fucking whatever. Okay, so let me undo this chin strap really quick.
So yeah, while he's doing that, the thing to take away, especially if you're, you know, oh, I have an M1 helmet. Yes, you do. The thing to take away is that, and I kind of said it before, when we moved away from the Doughboy style helmet and went to the M1, we were literally developing the M1 and issuing it at the same time.
Exactly.
So
that sounds like a lot of stuff that happened during World War II.
Yes, and so correct. Like oh my God, we can't get our tanks through the hedgerows. So then they quickly developed the, you know, that weird thing on
the field modifications,
yes.
and then they actually got the idea back to the factories and they started sending them over with them.
Yes, and so the M1 much the same. They're like, we need to issue this to soldiers, but we also need to improve it along the way, and that's why collecting them. Collecting them can become an illness real quick.
Oh, it's an addiction.
Because it tells a story of the progression of the war. Every single thing does.
Yeah.
You know, there was changes to the M1 Garand. There was changes to the M1 Carbine. There was changes to the Sherman. There was changes to the B-17, to the
Thompson,
B-24,
yes,
to the B-29,
the M3, yes. You know,
the M3 and the M3A1.
Yep.
Hell, here's something that a lot of people don't really know unless they're really into it. The P-40 Warhawk was in production from pre-war all the way through to the end of World War II. There was more P-40 Warhawks produced during World War II than there were P-51 Mustangs.
Okay. Yep.
And the last iteration of P-40 Warhawk was pretty much right on par with the P-51D as far as performance. But because it had that early war stigma attached to it in pop culture, nobody knows it existed after 1942. They were still making them.
Yeah, that makes me think of something for modern times. Do you think they'll actually ever get rid of the Warthog?
Yes.
When?
The next planned retirement date is 2035.
When was the last planned retirement date for the M2?
M2 for the 50 cal?
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, the last time anytime they tried retiring the M2, it was always with a caveat of if we can find something to replace it.
So that leads me to
right.
The A10.
But the problem with the A10 is that with a near peer opponent, the A10 becomes very quickly overmatched on the battlefield in the airspace. If
you have support, though, I
the A10 can't. the A-10 cannot operate in contested airspace. The
Okay.
A-10
Okay.
needs a minimum of local air superiority in order to operate.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why the A-10 is slated for retirement, because they can't guarantee against a near peer opponent even local air superiority. One of the things that the Air Force has been working on the last 10 years or so is finding a less expensive alternative to the A-10. And right now they're actually fielding an aircraft called the Sky Warden that's based off of a crop duster.
Oh, interesting. Because
They put in a very small order for a number of these to use with US SOCOM for their missions, and that's kind of the way they're leaning as far as the close air support mission is something cheaper than the A-10, because the A-10 is still an expensive plane to operate.
oh yeah, absolutely.
if you put machine guns on a crop duster, you could do some damage, because those things are amazing to watch. They're all power.
They're literally taking the crop dusters that operate around us in the big cranberry fields and stuff. They literally took one of those. They added a second seat. They got rid of the chemical tank. They added a second seat, and they put hard points under the wings. That's it. That's what they did.
Yeah.
And they put armor plating around the cockpit.
Yeah.
They put a lantern pod on it for targeting, so they can operate laser guided munitions like bombs and Maverick missiles. They put autocannon pods on it, so they got guns.
Let's go.
And
Keep the same size, too.
they literally just started fielding that within the last couple of years.
I wonder how many crop dusters you could fit on an aircraft carrier.
It is the Air Tractor L3 Harris AT-802U Sky Warden.
That's good. That's very simple to memorize. Yeah.
Yeah. You can call it the OA1K Sky Warden. It's basically just a civilian crop duster that they put armor and weapons hard points on.
That seems to be the thing, though, is and even like the M1 helmet, yeah, you can replace it. We don't have a problem with that, but we need to find something that's a suitable replacement. And that happened with the M1 in 1983 with the K-pot.
With the Pasget,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
that's a crop duster.
Yep. But you can see it's got a couple of JDAM bombs under the belly. It's got rocket pods on it.
Yeah, look at that.
It's got more hard points.
Yeah, if you painted that bright yellow, it looked just like the planes that fly around here spraying the spuds.
Yep. Same exact airframe.
Yeah.
So
go for it.
Yep, they are actually cool. Operating those. They are in service with the U.S. Air Force. My a little bit of background: my brother is a former U.S. Air Force. He did 8 years as a B-52 crew chief in Minot, and then he worked at Tinker Air Force Base as a civilian for the Air Force, doing depot level maintenance while he was going to school for his electrical engineering degree, and now he works for KBR as an engineer on B-52 upgrade programs.
Oh, nice.
So I have an inside track on what the Air Force is doing with their up and coming programs.
Okay, yeah, good deal.
So especially when I get on the topic of B-52s, I have a little bit more knowledge than the average cookie. But nowhere near as much as my brother, because he's been playing with them since 2006.
Do they keep do they keep the old ones up in the air?
Right now, the only models that they have in service are the B-52H. The G models were the last ones that were the newest ones used in Vietnam, and every single G model is currently in pieces at Davis Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona, and they were cut apart to comply with nuclear arms treaties.
Okay.
I think in the 90s is when they were cut up. So the H models are currently still flying. I think there's 78 of them still in service. There's a handful of them that are in long-term storage at Davis Monthan, but that's usually because they're pretty close to the end of their service life as far as flight hours. And right now, the Air Force is working on an upgrade program to upgrade all of the H models to J model spec, which is going to put all new avionics, all new radar, all new engines on them, a whole bunch of other little goodies, new ECM packages, things like that.
Upgrades, that's good. I mean, if it's a reliable plane.
Yep. The Air Force is planning on keeping them in service until the 2060s.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
The biggest problem that my brother told me that they're running into is there are high wear items that have to get replaced fairly regularly. Components of the landing gear and other like hydraulic and electrical systems. And the problem they're running into is all of the, if I can speak, all the parts that they have in inventory right now are all used. They're all remanufactured, and they're all wearing out.
Okay.
Like they're getting the parts inventory that they have is getting to the point where the parts that they're getting from the warehouses, when they can get them, are already out of spec because they're already worn out.
Huh.
And they're replacing parts that are, the reason why they're replacing the parts on the plane is because the parts on the plane are out of spec. So
I feel
they're running into
factories coming on.
They can't. And I asked my brother, why don't they've got the blueprints for these parts? Why don't they just send the blueprints out to some machining company that can do this stuff?
Yeah.
And he said they can't. He's like that has been proposed numerous times over the last 20 years. They just physically can't do it because we get into trademark and copyright and all that kind of bullshit.
Come on.
Because the companies that originally made the parts and originally came up with the blueprints and actually machined they came up with the tooling, they still own the copyrights and the patents for those parts.
Oh my
and
God.
either they don't exist anymore.
That's what I was wondering.
Because they've been absorbed by other companies, they've gone out of business on their own, or they're unwilling to unlock their production rights on those parts so that somebody else can remake them.
That seems to me to be like somewhere where you would want the government to step in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be to me where it's like, okay.
And these are parts that are critical to the operation of the aircraft.
Right.
One of the things that my brother, he was just talking to me about this last night. He sent me a message saying, well, a problem that wasn't mine just became mine. I ignored it long enough that it's now my problem. And he's been telling me about this for the last couple of months now. There's a company out there that got a contract to develop a new tow bar for the B-52. But because they didn't go through the proper bureaucratic steps when designing the tow bar, it doesn't have a national stock number associated with it. And because it doesn't have a national stock number associated with it, they cannot hook it up to an aircraft to do testing. And my brother was basically just told, figure it out.
Here's what you do. You take a Sharpie and you write a national stock number on it.
It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. You and I and Mike would all do it that way because, we're simple ground pounder type guys.
Right.
We're like, okay, what's the easiest way to do this?
Man,
yeah, the Air Force will not allow this tow bar to even touch an aircraft without a national stock number. But because they made the prototype before they had the national stock number, they can't get a national stock number.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
The office that issues national stock numbers won't issue one because they built the prototype before they had one.
That's... God,
it's retarded.
I bet that there's a lot of people shaking their head to the left and right now going, I can't even believe it.
But that's the way the fucking military works. And again, I will visually put in your heads that meme of Merle Haggard on Walking Dead sitting there in that fucking car with all the zombies surrounding him going,
so fucking glad I'm out.
That's it. That's all I can say. It's like I got out in 2012, you got out in 2010, and it's like holy shit, that's retarded.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
what the fuck?
That's what it is. I asked my brother I'm not going to go into details of his answer, but I asked my brother one time, okay, what happens if we actually get into a conventional shooting war with a near peer opponent? And his response, as far as the B-52 fleet, was not confidence inspiring.
Well, yeah, that's
I'm not going to say what his answer was.
No, you don't need to. You already did, and it's like it's
like there's nothing like the planes are fine for the duty that they're doing, but they're not flying combat operations.
And we're also still running C-130s. Let's just throw that out there.
Yeah, but Iran is running C-130s too, so there isn't I don't think there's a country in the world that has its own air force that doesn't have at least one C-130.
We have a lot of them, though.
That plane is a fucking workhorse that will never go out of service.
Yeah.
They landed one on the USS Forrestal in the 70s, for crying out loud. I'm not kidding. They did it.
Huh.
They were looking at...
It's a workhorse, but it's like, can we maybe get something a little bit more modern?
Not only did they land a C-130 on the Forrestal, they also took off from the Forrestal, and they did it like 5 times in a row.
Huh.
I know it's a good plane. I know.
Are they fast? Are they efficient to build and all that?
The C-130 is a beautiful aircraft.
It's just an
they're very efficient. Yeah, they're very I mean, it's so old school.
Alexa, stop.
Wow, you've got a government listening device in your house.
Yeah, they're in on this now.
Yeah, the C-17 is a great.
I think I just bought
airplane.
A C-130.
The C-17 is a great airplane, but it's too big.
Yeah.
For the things that the military does with the C-130, the C-17 is too big. It's too big to do the same role.
Okay.
Like Mike, what did you fly to and from Baghdad in?
C-1. So when we were going up there, I flew on a C-130, and it was a shitty ride. And when I flew home on leave, it was a C-17 from Iraq to Kuwait.
Mm-hmm.
Also a shitty ride to Kuwait, but like that's because I had to piss and they wouldn't let us go. But no, C-17 is a nice plane.
Oh,
and then
God, it's fucking huge.
Yeah, and so when we flew out, like that whole thing happened where like we got stuck because they bombed the shit, or they fucking whatever on the runway, and then we were delayed for like 3 days, and then the rest of you guys were down in Kuwait. Oh, Trey's here. Yeah,
Trey's in chat.
And anyway, so we were supposed to fly on a C-17 like to leave, but then they got bombed, and then we were like 3 days later, and they were like C-130, and I'm like, okay, I don't give a fuck. I just want to get the fuck out of Iraq. I want to go down to Kuwait and go home.
I don't care if I have to fly the fucking Wright Flyer. I want to get out of here.
I'm like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. I'm done. I've had it. It's over. It's been too long. And so, we flew out on a C-130 as well.
So,
and
going up to Baghdad the first time, we were on a C-17, and that fucking sucked because they put airline seats on cargo pallets, on cargo skids.
Yeah.
And the seats were like this far apart. I shit you not. They were like 4 inches apart. There was
so imagine that flying from Iraq to fucking Kuwait, having to piss for 5 hours, and then they're like, "No, you can't piss." And I was in the middle of one of these fucking.
I was stuck next to Hendo.
Oh, not good.
I was in one of the middle seats, and I was stuck next to. I don't want to say stuck next to Hendo because Hendo is fucking cool, but. You know how big Hendo is.
Oh, he's a big dude. He's my size. He's bigger. Actually, he's bigger than me. Yeah.
Yeah. And they stuck him in one of those seats. And we had our assault packs on our we had our A bags on our laps. No, the A bags were on the pallets. We had our assault packs on our laps.
Yep.
So we're literally sitting like this.
Yep.
With our knees in our chest.
Go ahead, Josh.
Like 3 hours.
What I'm envisioning is So through the center of the plane, instead of vehicles and equipment and pallets of gear,
They
it
had
was,
pallets of seats.
oh boy.
And they're very snug. Like,
Yeah,
and
they-
both Jake
so
and I
they
are
were-
over 6 feet, and we had to sit like this, basically.
Are these like things recruiters don't tell you?
yeah.
Oh, you're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be
Um,
a fantastic time. Yeah.
Think Southwest Airlines or Ryanair, like super economy class, except less legroom.
Oof.
Yeah, because your legs
And-
are popped up because you're on the rails, the pallet
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the seats are literally they're regular airline seats with the tray table and everything, and they're bolted to aluminum cargo pallets that they
Yep.
use
I-
in cargo planes, that the ones that they push out the back.
Yes.
And they're
I can see it. I
What
can
were they?
see
Were they
it.
6 wide? Were the seats 6 wide on those, or were they
Ours
5 wide?
were 9 wide.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were
It's
9 wide.
It's
With
9
no
wide.
aisle.
Yeah.
So the guy is stuck in the middle. Has got 4 guys on either side of him.
And I was in the middle, and I'm like, I gotta piss really fucking bad. We landed at Kuwait.
And then they had the seats down each. Well, those are actually built into the fuselage, but there's seats down each side of the
right,
cargo
and
bay.
those guys were like sitting there sprawled out.
Sure.
Yeah,
Like,
they're-
life is good. You know.
Those
I
are like
wanted
those-
to be in
like
one of
jump
those
seats.
seats. Yeah,
Yeah, they're jump
they're
seats.
like
That's what
jump
they are.
seats.
That's what they
Yeah.
are. But like the middle seats is like, I was in there, and they at Baghdad International Airport, they didn't let us piss. They were like sequestered, like, you gotta fucking be here. And I'm like, but I was drinking water to stay awake, which was, it seems counterintuitive, but you have to do it. And then we get there and we get to Kuwait, we get to Ali Asal, right? And I'm like, there's females with us. That's the problem. Is like, there's females with us. So I can't just whip my dick out and piss anywhere I want. And I'm like, dude, I've got to fucking piss or I'm going to explode. And so I went to the edge of the tarmac immediately while everybody else is getting off. I was like, I found some sand and I was just like, okay, look around. And I'm like, I got to piss. So I pissed a little bit and they're like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, fuck.
Pitch
And then
it
I had to
off.
hold my piss for another fucking 2 hours or 3 hours. We went through customs and everything. I literally pissed for, I'm not shitting you, 10 minutes. I counted it because I was like, on my watch, I'm like, I'm going to see how long I piss. And I'm sitting there at the urinal and I pissed for 10 full fucking minutes.
Oof.
And I'm like, that's dangerous. Like, that's not good. And then, anyway,
If you
got
had
home.
waited
and
much
everything.
longer, you wouldn't have been able to release it.
Well, no, if I would have been able to piss a little bit on the tarmac, I would have been fucked.
You should
Yeah.
put some paperwork in and get like some I don't know, I'm thinking 10, 15, maybe 20% disability on that right
For
there.
having an enlarged bladder. Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
it was the worst.
comparing the ride on the C-17 to a C-130 though. The C-130, it was all the hammock,
cargo nets.
the hammock, the cargo net seats.
Yeah.
They had the ones that came down from the outside of the fuselage, and then they had
bar.
2 rows in the middle.
And the big bar underneath
Yeah.
your fucking legs. And I'm like,
But that was still better than sitting in those middle seats on the fucking C-17.
true.
Yeah, but you guys are saying all this with, I can tell that you're bitching about it, but you loved it. I can
Not
see
the
it.
at the time we
C-17
didn't
ride.
love
I
it.
can see it on your faces. You guys will love it. You were
The
loving it.
C-17, it was cool seeing a C-7, the inside of a C-17. It was not cool being stuck in the middle of those fucking seats.
But you
Yeah.
love it. You have that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, no, it's we bitch about a lot of shit, you know, because it's like hindsight. This is
Well,
what,
you have to.
fucking 14 years ago now. That's 2009, 14 years
Yeah,
ago.
2009,
Jesus Christ.
2010.
Okay.
But it was
I
like,
feel old.
well, yeah, I mean, I was fucking 18 when we were there. So
Ugh.
yeah, I feel
Just
old
baby.
now too. Oh, I was the youngest guy in our fucking entire state. I was the youngest guy in the 32nd that deployed that year by 5 hours. Because Pizza, you know, Parziali, he was
Yep.
5 hours older than me. We established that when we were in Iraq.
Okay.
We're on the same day, same year, and everything, but he was 5 hours older than me. And so I was like the youngest fucking guy that deployed on that deployment. And oof. But anyway, so yeah, good talk. Let's get back to M1s really quick, Jake, because
Yeah.
you had a question before.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's like how can you tell the difference between early war, mid war, late war?
well, yeah, good question. But like as the rule,
Very
goes-
nuanced.
Yep, very new. It's very nuanced because you're gonna see early war shit through the entire into Korea, actually.
Yeah, because
But-
they
but
stayed
here-
in service.
Here's the general thing. So this is just a regular front. So okay, do you know about the seam on the rim, the magnesium steel rim, or manganese steel rim?
Yeah,
That one's stainless, but yeah.
Or sorry, stainless. Yeah, fuck. I'm fucking
It's
this up
all-
already.
Yeah,
So-
I know that it was there, but I didn't know it was different materials.
Yes, so that's why this is silver, because it's stainless, right?
Okay.
And a lot of these rims that they coated, like the seam up here, I don't know. My camera's
they
not
solder it?
focusing on it.
So
They, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
when the helmet is stamped, they need to go around the edge of it with something to keep it from
Yep.
being sharp. Not like a German helmet. German helmets, some of them had a rolled edge, some didn't.
Yep.
But
Mike did a really good video on German helmets.
Yeah.
Earlier this year?
Yeah,
okay.
35, the 40, and the 42.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we did is we took that stainless steel edging and we went around the rim of the helmet, and then the edging needed to stop somewhere, and so it stopped in the front of the helmet, and that's where it was welded. So if you get into M1 helmets, the very first thing that you're going to be taught is look for a front seam, because if you have a front seam like that one, yep,
There we
Okay,
go. That's more visible.
I can see
than
it.
the other one.
that's a World War II helmet every day,
Okay,
all day long, because of that front seam.
So after the production after World War II, they changed the production method.
In
Kind
World
of.
War II, they changed it. They went to a rear seam.
Yep.
Okay.
Now,
But it was still stainless, was it not, for the first couple batches?
there are stainless rear seams. They're not very common.
Right.
They,
'cause
they
yeah.
because stainless steel doesn't hold paint very well.
Yeah,
So
not at all.
they killed a couple birds with one stone when they went to the rear seam. They changed the rim material to the same metal as the helmet, which
Manganese steel.
which held paint better.
So you're saying that if you can find a stainless rear seam, you basically just found a white elephant.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one to find. Yep,
Yeah.
that'd be a good helmet.
Very
to
tough.
find. Yep. And there are front seams with the manganese rim too.
Right. So yeah, it was. So what month of 44 was that? Do you know, like, specifically, or?
Most people just say August to October because
Okay.
you don't really know.
That was when the transition,
Of
that
44.
time period.
Yep.
That's when it happened. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so a rear seam helmet we consider late war.
Okay.
A mid-war helmet would be a front seam swivel bail,
Okay.
and an early helmet would be obviously a front seam
Yes.
fixed bail.
So, Jake, this is a fixed bail, really quick. You
Yep,
see
that
how it's
one's
welded
tack welded
directly onto the shell?
Yep.
Okay. So a swivel bail is going to be, you can see this. It's what you're used
Yep.
to seeing.
Yep.
Oh,
You know?
yeah, that's
Now,
Yeah,
I've
moves.
I've seen that.
And it's got
That was-
the bracket that's kind of welded or tacked on there.
Yep.
Yep.
So
They took a piece of wire, they made a square loop out of it, and then they just folded a piece of flat steel over the top of it to keep it in.
yep,
basically, yep.
yep.
That's the idea.
So yeah,
And that was the swivel bail is the pattern they used going forward throughout the rest of the M1's life.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All the way till
Okay.
1983. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the fixed bail front seam is early war.
Yes.
early to mid. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
You got it.
yeah,
You're on your way.
yeah, and then also
Welcome to the funny farm.
yeah,
Mike's
This
been
is-
saying that a lot lately to me.
yeah. Welcome to the fucking the thing. But yeah. So for when we were doing Reveille, for example, that takes place in November of 43, before the
that's
swivel
mid-
bail existed, and they were all front seam helmets. This was actually used in Reveille. This is Martin Leo Kelly's shell, right? And this is my personal one that I like. I have my fiber liner with it, which is, we'll get into that in a second. But like yeah, so the fixed bails and the problem. So Jake, the problem with the fixed bails, and also on
He's
the
talking
early
about corn pops in chat again.
corn pop, yeah. So also on the this is gonna be hard to show. Shit. So I have the chin straps and all that shit on there. Josh, do you have just an M2 shell without the chin straps on it?
A D-bail?
Yeah.
I do.
Can
wanna
you grab
see it?
that really quick?
Yeah, I'll grab it.
Because I want to show Jake too, because like
Okay, but you're sitting down, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna want to be sitting down. Just a minute.
Okay.
In other words, what he's saying is that you're going to want to buy it.
I can't afford it, but like I know he's got a fucking awesome collection. And
I bought this one today too.
oh
Okay.
Jesus, yeah.
Okay, that's okay. I'm seeing a fixed bail, but I'm seeing like what half circle bails.
Yeah,
Is that what I'm
that's
looking
an
at?
M2 for the airborne helmets.
That's called a semicircular loop or a D-bail.
Yep. And that's what I had Josh make me. You can't see it because the chin straps.
And I saw
are
the
on
front
here.
seam on that.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
this
your
is what it
camera
looks like
actually picked
with the chin strap, the airborne chin strap on, and like the liner and all this shit.
Okay.
So but both of these, we'll get into the D-bail here in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sitting here chomping at the bit because I want to.
So really quick, the reason that they went away from the quote unquote fixed bail is because it was welded directly to the shell, and they would pop off. So you see a lot of guys early in mid-war that literally don't have chin straps on their helmets because the chin straps are too short to fix up in the back. They didn't want to use them because they're terrible if you fall or something.
Yeah,
it really hurts and whatever. And
kind of like the Pasget chin strap.
Right, it's a 2-point, and so these bails would literally just break off, and they're like, "Well, fuck it, I don't have a chin strap, so I'm just going to cut the other one off." So you see guys with like one bail on their helmet, and the other one's broken off. And so then that's why they went to the swivel bail that was actually very more secure, and it would move. It had flex to it.
So I'm going to throw out a tangent question here.
Yep.
So we all know that guys in the field, when they see something that they like, they go out of their way to acquire it, even by less than official means. Were any of these designs more or less desirable by the troops?
No.
Okay, so it's not like some leg infantry guy saw a paratrooper helmet like, oh, I want one of those.
No.
Well, here's the thing, Jake. Really quick.
Mostly because I've talked to a lot of World War II veterans, and I have yet to meet one who even liked an M1 helmet of any kind.
Right.
That most of them will say it's the best damn shovel I ever had.
Yep. So
I've actually heard that.
Yeah.
Really quick, like I've not been able to find. I've been on U.S. Military Forum. I've fucking done as much research as I possibly could. Why the fuck the 2-piece helmet?
Right. So So
we'll just start there. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 2-piece helmet, that's a great question, and the answer is really simple. And since you guys were in service, you would know this. You have to have a covering on your head, correct?
Yep.
So the liner served as your covering when you were not in a combat zone.
So why? So okay, but they had HPT caps, they had piss cutters, they had fucking whatever.
Right. That all came after.
But they had it before the M1 though. So why would they? Okay, my question is like
because it would still provide some protection, even the helmet liner. Think of it like a hard hat at that point.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, so like a bump cap?
Yeah.
A bump cap for like training purposes, field training.
So the helmet liner, I think, weighs about 11 ounces versus the helmet, I think, weighs almost 3 pounds. And so they figured, well, let's have a 2-part helmet, because then when you're in the rear, you can just wear the helmet liner. That's
I can see the logic that they were operating under, but it's still stupid. but I can see the idea.
Yeah.
Well, and like the original, the liner itself was the fiber liner, and
which they knew even making it, they knew right away, we're not keeping this. It's a horrible, horrible idea. But they had to have something because the high pressure liner was still being figured out.
Well, and then
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing is, so
they were literally sending those. They were literally sending those to guys who were wearing them in the jungle, and they're basically cardboard covered with fabric.
Correct. And paint.
Yeah.
Ooh, paint.
So
and then you come out.
How many days do you think they lasted in the field?
From what I've read, between 30 and 90.
Whew, that's not bad.
Depending on where they were.
Yeah, I would have. Actually, that surprises me.
North Africa, they probably would have lasted.
Though.
North Africa, they probably would have lasted 90. Papua New Guinea, probably less.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they came out with the this look familiar?
Yeah, look at that.
The low pressure.
Yep.
And that was the kind of like stopgap, right? So go into that if you would.
Yep. So the Hawley helmet liner and the low pressure, the Hawley has a slight edge as far as being the earliest, but the low pressure is not far behind it. And they quickly realized that one as well, we're not keeping it. Those are fun to collect.
Yeah, the St. Clairs, yeah.
So they're the paper liner. Hold that paper liner up again. Yep. So that's a reproduction. That looks like is that a drop zone?
Yep, drop zone. Yep.
He makes a great one. That's
why I paid it.
Yeah, whenever he posts those, I always give him a bump.
Well, that's where I actually saw this before the event that we had. And you posted that, and I was like, oh, he's got him in right now?
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking jump on that because these were used throughout, which is fun because they had the stock of them.
Yep.
And so you see them popping up in every theater, but they don't last long. But yeah, it's
And let me say this, because I know there'll be guys watching this who are they're going to want one. Don't get sucked into the game. Those are not rare. They're scarce. They're not rare.
No, but also I would never use one for wearing around for reenacting. That's the thing is I wanted one that I don't care how beat up it gets.
Yeah,
because it's a repro.
Exactly. Right. But what I'm saying is,
same with the low pressure. Yeah.
When you're seeking out an original, don't fall into the trap of thinking this is the only one I'm ever going to see, because
do you know how many they made of the fiber liners?
I don't, but they made a lot of them.
I think it was in the millions, correct? Yeah.
And just a few years ago, it was maybe 8 or 9 years ago, someone found hundreds of those in Greece.
Right.
And so they all hit the market, let's say 10 years ago. I'm probably off on the date. But like all of a sudden, you couldn't, Hawley liners dropped in price because they're everywhere.
So what did the 32nd use in Papua New Guinea? Fiber liners?
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah.
What are the high pressure liners made out of?
That's a great question.
Okay,
get ready for this.
But Jake, you also have to, before we get to the high pressures, which is like kind of the segue, we got to talk about the low pressures because these are. This is the one that Josh made out of a Vietnam era or post-Vietnam era shitty liner because it's basically the same goddamn build, but it's built better with better materials. But it looks and it feels the exact same, and he's cut it. If you can see, there's kind of a cut here.
Yep, they look good.
The original. So the low pressures, when did those come out? When were they used and where were they used?
So the low pressure, again, you have to remember that McCord, which is the plant that was pressing helmets, had to have the helmet liner. And so they are the ones that actually were webbing out Hawleys and St. Clair's. So it's interesting because St. Clair was making the helmet liner. They were sending the bodies to the McCord plant, and the ladies there working in the factories were finishing them out, and then they were nesting them into a helmet and shipping them out complete. So I just want to linger on that for a second. So when you have an original fixed bale with a Hawley, and especially if it's named like this one has names in it, the guy's name in it.
Is that a low the fiber liner?
Yep.
So the fiber liner has got that lip, that
the big lip,
curled under lip.
Big lip.
Okay.
Yep. See how it stands out? It looks cool. That's a cool look, I think.
That's I love it. Yeah.
You're almost guaranteed if you have a Hawley with a fixed bail and the helmet and the liner are named to an individual soldier, that this liner and this helmet have been together since the day they were made. Because the company that was making the steel helmets was required to supply a complete helmet. And that's really kind of neat. So I'm holding something that has probably been together since the day it left the Michigan plant. And that's pretty slick. The point
and that would be 1942.
Yep.
41 and 42. Yep.
So at the same time, though, McCord was also supplying their helmets with St. Clair's. So Hawleys and St. Clair's are so close together that you without being inaccurate, you could say they were pumping them out at the same time.
Well, and Jake, to answer your really quick to answer your question about the 32nd on New Guinea, they would have also had low pressures. Mostly you see fiber liners though.
Okay.
But it's a horse apiece. Like, yeah.
Well, so what was the supply situation like with when those fiber liners fell apart?
They probably just had makeup. So because your question's good too, because you're saying, well, did they have to pull one out of a helmet and hand it to a guy? I don't know if they supplemented it with just liners or not. That's a good question. Because now you would have orphaned helmets in the field.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I can't imagine that any front line commander would want his guys running around fighting the Japanese in the jungle with no helmet on at all.
Correct.
Like, and you can't wear an M1 helmet without a liner.
Which is why this is so awesome. Which is why also in 1942 you start to see Westinghouse high pressure liners that look like St. Clair's and look like Hawley liners, because McCord was also webbing out those to bolster supply. So you had the Hawley, the St. Clair, and the Westinghouse high pressure literally all rolling out within a 6-month time period.
That has got to make that's got to make the historical research on, okay, when was this helmet made, just an absolute nightmare.
Right.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
The liners you can kind of nail down based on their features. Helmets you can sort of nail down based on their features, but the jury's out on that one.
Okay.
God, I don't want to talk about heat stamps.
I was just going to ask about those two.
Do we have to?
We don't have to, but it's still.
Let's do it.
Let me curate the question on heat stamp, because I saw it in chat like an hour ago. There was somebody who was talking about how they have a Korean War era M1, and they were asked, well, is the heat stamp right? Okay, let me curate the question. Can you tell the date of a helmet by the heat stamp? Yes or no?
No.
I'm gonna go take a piss. You guys go at it.
Yeah. You cannot, but you can narrow things down. Yes, I'll give you. I'll go that far.
Caveat.
Yes. Yeah. Though the heat stamp in a helmet is not a date. It is a form of quality control. Because remember how I said that when we were developing and manufacturing the helmet at the same time, they had so many problems with failure of the M1 helmet that they almost scrapped it and just went with the Canadian helmet. So we came this close to never having an M1 helmet at all.
Was that because they were trying to stamp the steel too thin and it was cracking?
No, it's because they were trying to stamp the steel too deep. So the reason this is not a World War I helmet, but it's so close for a conversation I can use it. This is a 4-inch draw.
Yep.
That's as much as we could figure out. And then this one is almost a 7-inch draw.
Yep.
So when we realized after World War I, and they did the studies after World War I, and they're like, okay,
we need a deeper helmet.
How are doughboys getting injured? And they're getting injured here. Well, we need a helmet that comes down and protects the neck area. That's the M1. They would make an M1. They would stamp it, and then they would take that helmet and put it on a table and start a timer and time how long it took for that helmet to literally pop in half.
Yeah, because they were overstressing the steel when they were stamping it.
Exactly. So we had to change the formula of the steel.
Mm-hmm.
We're still making helmets, though. Remember.
Yep, they had to go to a higher carbon steel.
Yeah, they had. So the helmet has manganese in it. I'm not a metallurgist, so I can't even talk about it. I have a lot of blogs on it that a friend of mine wrote. But anyways, as we're making helmets, I think the failure rate was 30. It could have been 30%. And the War Department was like, we cannot sustain this. We're shipping helmets all over the world, and they open up the boxes, and the helmets are literally blown in half.
Yeah.
Because
there wasn't enough ductility to the steel that they were using.
Mm-hmm. So we got
So they had to throw other alloys in there to make the steel more flexible.
Correct. Yep. So we got that under control. And I think we got the failure rate down to somewhere in the single-digit %. And so they're like, okay, we can live with that.
Yeah, and when you're churning them out by the millions, 1% is nothing.
Right. So earlier helmets should have a lower heat stamp. So, you might have a fixed bale that stamp like 39A. Okay. And you can, by default, you can go, well, that's an early helmet versus a helmet made in 1945 that's 114C. So that's what you get what I mean. So, but as far as using that number to date helmets, that's not what their intention was. That's not what they're for.
Are they like an inspector number?
Yes, more or less. But they were, so when the helmet steel left the foundry, and it went to the plant that formed the helmets, each steel sheet had a number series ink stamped onto it, and it was like,
so it was more like a lot number for the steel.
Yes, a lot and lift number.
Okay.
Yep. And then we're like, well, we can't transfer that because it was like a 7-digit number, and then the lift was like a 5-digit number. Yep. And we're like, we can't stamp that into the helmet. There's too many damn numbers. So
they needed a method to be able to say, okay, this helmet that broke in half came from this batch of steel. Yes. We need to find all of the other ones that came from this batch of steel and get them off the front line.
Yes, and what they would, this is part of the collecting fun. What they would do is they'd pull, let's say, 100 helmets off the line, and then they would stamp another letter or another number next to it. And that's how you know, if you've ever seen a helmet that's like 69B, and then next to it, it's like 3. That's how you know you have an M1 helmet that was pulled for testing.
Yeah, this one's not. This is 563C.
So that's 5. What is it again?
563C.
So 56. So let's say that said 563C2.
Yeah.
Now
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you know you have a helmet pulled for testing. Which again, there's guys who collect. They collect that. They're like, I like to collect that.
So that's where the heat stamps really actually matter.
Yes.
It's not like, because you can't tell the date from this fucking thing. And
no, but
alone. But you can get in the ballpark, but yeah.
Yeah,
that looks like that fixed bale one.
I really, really, really try to take the high road on heat stamps because it's
a huge debate.
Personally, I find it infuriating because any senior collector, any guy or girl who's been collecting helmets for more than 20 years doesn't give 2 shits.
Right.
About the numbers stamped in the helmet. They never,
unless it's one of the testing numbers.
They just don't care. Because I have a fixed bale with a Holley liner. I don't care what number's in it.
It doesn't matter.
What
you know?
what happened is some guy took his collection and put it out on a table and started to organize it, which you organize your guns, right? So do I. We're humans. We organize things. So this guy took his collection and he organized it, and then he went, these features match, and this matches, and these features, and he lined all his helmets up according to their features, and then he looked at the numbers, and then he knew, well, this hardware on this chin strap showed up here, so that must mean that this helmet is from here. Now, it makes sense, and I do it, but I don't publish it and say it's the gospel.
Correct. That's the difference. It's your opinion.
And
right?
what it did.
Yeah. But anybody who's worked even remotely adjacent to the steel industry knows that steel is done in batches, and those batches have lot numbers, just like anything else that's made in batches.
Right.
And it's done for quality tracking purposes.
Yes.
And that lot number, I used to haul flatbed, so I hauled steel plates all the time.
Yeah.
And they would spray paint it right. They had the giant dot matrix printers that would spray paint the lot number on the plate.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that lot number would follow that piece of steel through every single production process that steel would end up going through. Because if there's ever a problem with that item, with the finished product that came from that piece of steel, it's going to get tracked all the way back to the foundry that made that piece of steel.
Mm-hmm.
I love this guy. Yes. And
it's the same thing with firearm serial numbers.
Okay,
the ATF doesn't have those. So there's no gun registry.
Josh, go ahead.
If you're dealing in milk and you spray a code on the milk that says this milk must be consumed by a certain date, and then you're the guy who's stocking milk, do you put the new milk in front of the old milk, or do you pull the old milk forward and put the new milk behind it?
Depends on how much you like your employer.
Okay.
At the grocery store. Because that was literally my first job when I was 15.
So let's say now you're dealing with a non-perishable item.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's something that once it's made, it's made. Yep.
You are literally unloading train car after train car after train car, and you have an empty warehouse. And things get stacked in, and then things get stacked in front of it, and things get stacked in front of it. And now they go to production.
Yep.
It is not first in, first out.
Yep.
It's first in, last out.
Well, so, there's why you can't. Yeah, you can't really. Yeah, exactly.
And now I've never. Now, that's the truth. But I will say this: I have yet to see a late war helmet that is stamped 49B. But I'm not saying you couldn't, because what's to say that a 1600 helmet blanks didn't sit in the back of the warehouse with that lot and lift number stamped on it that needed to translate to a heat number, that the guy's looking at it going, oh, well, these have been here a while, but he's going to go with the heat number.
Yeah.
And he's going to stamp the helmets. So you could have late war helmets that are like
it's theoretically possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why
nobody has yet documented it, but it is theoretically possible.
So here's what happened in the helmet community. A guy published a book, and in the book is a tiny little graph. You could probably find it on the internet. It's a little graph on the corner of a page, and it dates helmets. There is no, what's that called in the back of the book where you show your research, a bibliography? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
The book doesn't have one. So where did the author get this information?
That's the problem with not having a bibliography.
But here's what happened. It took new collectors and junior collectors. It's like the purple Kool-Aid of helmet collecting. They lock, stock, and two smoking barrels.
And that's what I've deduced from my amateur research on heat stamp numbers.
Yeah.
Is because it's like, why don't you just tell me there's no clear fucking answer? But everybody wants to be the expert and everything, because like they compare it to German helmet stampings and lot numbers, okay, which are also not precise, they kept a lot of really good records, but a lot of those were destroyed and they're kind of just guessing. But it's like, dude, again, like you were saying, look at the features of the thing. Okay. A fixed bail, probably mid 44 on back. Probably a good chance. And the liner that's with it, okay, whatever. That's the only way you can really quote unquote date an M1 from my research. And that's what you just said. And that kind of validates that a lot. So
now here's, I really try to take the high road because I don't like arguing. The guy's book's awesome. There's so many good pictures in it. There's so much good information in it. And so I'm not discrediting the work. And I'm not even really discrediting the attempt, because you can take your helmets and lay them out on a table and go feature by feature by feature. And we know what's early, we know what's middle, we know what's late. It's just that I think the mistake is saying this is it. And if you're going to do that, that's fine too. But where is the proof?
Back it the fuck up.
Yes.
And that's the thing is like, yeah, no, I agree with you, because it's like there's people, you know, Brian Ice, the guy that fucking wrote the he wrote this book. It's all just lot numbers and shit of German helmets, right?
Oh, okay.
And so he's been revising this for years because he's got more examples of like this lot number and whatever.
Holy shit, is that a thick book?
Oh fuck yeah, it is.
Oh.
Yeah, it's. But here's the thing: is like he also says something to the amount of like, basically this is just, I don't know what the fuck he said. Anyway, somewhere in the book where he says this is not fact. This is just based on research that I've done, and blah blah blah. So it can change at any time.
Yeah,
and
that's the right way to go about things too.
Okay,
yeah,
so
and it's like as a historian, you can't really quick, Jake. As a historian, you really can't say anything as gospel because we don't fucking know. We weren't there. We don't know. Have you ever, Josh? Have you ever talked to somebody that worked at the McCord plant or the Schloiter plant?
No, but I know a fellow who follows my Instagram who has an uncle who worked at, I believe he worked at Schluter.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
That doesn't help then. Like
yeah.
And also if so they work there. Did they pay attention and give a shit about the fucking heat stamp numbers?
No, it was just part of the job.
Exactly. It's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, if you think about it that way, it's like there's really no way of knowing. You're guessing. You have an opinion, and if you state it as your opinion and your best guess based on your research, and you're finding patterns and stuff like that, okay, that's one thing. But if you state it as gospel, and again, I'm not ragging on this guy that wrote that book. But I know what you're saying is it's like, it's frustrating. Like people do that in history all the time. It's like, this is gospel. This is what it is. Because I read it here, or I saw it here, or I heard it there. No, it's not. It's what you've researched and deduced. And that's your opinion, your educated opinion. Okay.
Yeah.
Based on what your research is. It's not a fucking fact.
Well, and the if you wanted to go a little bit more negative leaning on that, you would say, well, maybe this person says this to set themselves up as an expert.
Correct.
So that then people sell him helmets.
And also he sells books.
It's kind of, yeah.
Yep.
See,
and that's the thing is like, I don't have a problem with people selling items. I don't. I have a problem with people who kind of, crown themselves, if you will, as an expert on this field. It's like, I will never do that because I'm not going to ever be an expert because, again, I didn't live during the time period. I didn't experience this. There's no fucking way I could possibly understand every intricate part of the process, not just M1 helmets, but like everything that has to do with history. There's no way. I can research things. I can compile things, put it into one work so people can read it, which is fine. But I'm not going to crown myself somebody that is an expert, quote unquote. So,
oh man, I have I have so many meditations on this the more the, I don't know, what do you call it? I don't have the right words, but like you're a collector, but you also think about these things, and then you think about them deeply, and then you find yourself like almost like having a meditation about, you know how some people are just really good at pulling the layers back on culture and going, this is and this is what's going on. They have like deep insight about what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think about, a lot of times I think about helmets and the helmet collecting and the helmet community in the same way. Like, well, I have that Big Red blog.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've read it. Yep.
I mean, that's kind of a taste of it. Like, let's go deeper. Let's think about this deeper. And let's not assume we have all the answers. Let's collect information. And what we know today, we're going to publish. And what we learn tomorrow, we're going to publish that too. And are we ever going to be done? No.
No, we're never going to be done. Yep.
But can it get people to say, you know, my uncle worked at McCord, and it's kind of funny, but he kept a journal. Oh my God. You know, it's like,
well, shit.
You know, share it. You know, like that's why I keep putting this information out there, is because then we can collect more. That's
a sign of a good historian too. Honestly,
yeah, I mean,
it really is.
So
John B in the chat said, so people are trashing helmets by removing paint to find the heat stamps for nothing.
Yes, it's crazy. Then this,
one that I have
hey,
show, like,
how many helmets
scrubbed?
Yeah, so many times.
See if I can show it.
Yeah,
but
that's,
I don't know. Yeah, you can see.
Yep, I can see it.
They scrubbed it.
It infuriates me. I don't know if I have one. You'll find a beautiful collectible helmet that's worth $800 or $900. You pull the liner out, and somebody took steel wool and buffed the paint away from the heat stamp. So that I'm like, why?
They do it on German helmets too for the actual like lot stamps.
Yeah,
they'll do it on that too, and
it's just crazy.
It's insane, but I mean, so okay, let's get into that really quick, John.
I want to just say one.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask another question about M1s.
Yeah.
How can you tell where they were made?
Oh, great. So McCord helmets being made in Detroit, Michigan at the McCord factory. They just have
that's the McCord automobile.
Yeah. And after the war, they started making radiators, I think, or something like that. I think that's what they were making, a McCord radiator. Yeah, they made radiators. So they produced 20 million helmets during World War II. And then they also produced helmets after World War II. And how you can tell you have a McCord is they're just going to have the heat stamp in it, like 423B, and that's it. There's another company called Schluter, and they're out of St. Louis. So Schluter Manufacturing, they also received a contract to make helmets, and they only made 2 million, and every single one of their helmets has a thin line S stamped in it. So that's how you know you have one. Now, you're going to think, wow, 2 million, they must be rare. Nope. Schluter helmets are everywhere. They're everywhere. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I think people don't understand what 2 million of something actually is.
Yeah. So here's a fun fact. And this is relatively new information. There's a third company that made helmets in World War II, and they're called Parrish. And they are out of Reading, Pennsylvania. And they got started so late in the game. I'm not sure if they were awarded the contract to kind of help boost product for the invasion of Japan. I mean, I might be talking out of my ass right now, but it makes sense because they started making helmets really late in the game. And you know a Parrish helmet, because underneath that chin strap loop, there's going to be a P, and it's going to have a number like P2 or P3 or P4. And their helmets actually have a slightly different profile that you can see with the naked eye. And they're very rare. They're hard to find. Parrish helmets are hard to find. World War II ones. Parrish Reading made helmets post-war. So those are not rare. So, and you know, here's a quick fun fact about the M1 helmet that I think is funny. Due to our own environmental regulations, we could no longer produce helmets in the United States because because of the mercury in the steel. So they were made. So the last helmets made in the 70s and early 80s were actually made in Canada.
Yep, I did know that. I actually did. Yep.
Isn't that great? I love it. I think that's fun.
Because the Canadians were also using the M1 at that point. They were using all of our fucking OD green covers.
There's so much surplus in Canada.
I know that my good buddy Devin,
yeah, I've talked to Devin a couple of times.
Yeah, Devin is he's from Canada. He's an expat and he lives here now. He's lived here for years. But he said that there are so many fucking Mark II shells, and he says, yeah, you know, Canada made the M1s during like the late war period in Vietnam from like 69 on. Like the US didn't make a single fucking M1 shell. And I was like, what? Like in person, like not on video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, because of this, what you were just saying.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, the environmental regulations, and Canada was like, we're using these, so we'll just fucking make these and the US government can buy them from us.
So that regulation though is a blessing in disguise for guys like me, because the government would order helmets, but we couldn't make them here, but we needed to have the contracts fulfilled.
Yep.
So what these companies did is they went and they gobbled up all kinds of World War II reserves, and they repainted them and put the new chin strap system on them. So a lot of times you can find World War II helmets that look like a Vietnam era helmet with that ugly green paint on them. And I love those because I don't feel bad about sandblasting them.
Well, so we honestly Devin and I did a M1 helmet ballistic test video. Like we shoot random helmets from all over the world with different calibers and shit. And we found out after we had done this that like what we shot was a fucking refinished, early cracked M1 helmet.
Yeah.
And it sucked. I mean, it absolutely sucked. It was terrible for small arms.
Okay.
Absolutely fucking horrible. But
yeah.
like people were in the comments are like, that's a fucking refinished like World War II era M1 shell. And you guys just shot that. I'm like, okay, it was painted Vietnam color. And it also had a rear seam so that they re-rimmed the fucking thing at some point.
Well, it probably was just a rear seam.
But would it still have the crack in the front?
Yeah. Rear seams cracked a lot. The cracking never was completely cured.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. But like, say it was an original rear seam. We shot it with a Vietnam liner in it, and man, that thing was fucking horse shit.
Did you get a through and through?
We got through and throughs, and then the 45 hit it, and it caved the entire side of the fucking thing in.
Did it go through?
No, the 45 did not.
It just domed it.
Oh, dude, and it was. I'll send you at some point. I'll send you the ballistic test video that we did, because we've done a lot of helmets, like a lot of like historic helmets and shit.
And the reading in the comment section of every single one was impressive.
The what? Oh yeah.
The reading in the comment section.
Well, his thing is like,
you shot history.
Oddly enough, the best steel helmets that we've tested had been from the Eastern Bloc.
Okay.
But they actually deflect, like they'll dent and they'll deflect. Yeah, like because our kind of like I don't know what the fuck you call it, like our standard round of like if this is a good helmet or not is a 7.62.25 Tokarev round, right?
Okay.
It's fast, it's a pistol round. I don't expect any helmet to deflect a rifle round, which we have had a couple do, but that's a different subject. But so the 7.62 Tokarev usually just goes, cuts right through, bam, in and out, like both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And most Eastern Bloc helmets, like the Bulgarian M36 helmet, the Soviet SSH-40, the Hungarian or the Bulgarian M71, whatever, it'll actually dent and bounce off. And I'm like, oh fuck.
It's different metallurgy.
Yeah, exactly. It's more flexible steel.
Yep.
You know, and the more carbon-based steel, like you get in the Western European helmets, like the Swiss, they make cool helmets. They're and same with the Germans. And what the fuck else do we do?
The Swiss ones look Are they kind of look like the Darth Vader one a little bit?
Well, that's one model that we tested.
I mean, not the Fedayeen. I know the Fedayeens were.
No, I actually have an original Fedayeen helmet.
Those are a
Go grab
direct
it.
rip off of the.
Do you want to
Darth
see
Vader.
it?
Yeah,
You want to see it?
I
All right.
restored one once for a guy.
You restored one?
Yeah, for a guy. He brought it back. It was in really bad shape. I just basically all I had to do was spray paint it black.
Yeah. So this is a holy grail of helmet collectors, like, because I collect helmets from all over the fucking world. Like I have helmets, like I'm looking at my wall right now, from all over the world. I love helmets. That's my thing.
There it is. Yep. That is a direct ripoff of the Darth Vader helmet.
Oh, I know. I know the history behind it. It's fucking awesome. Look at the liner. It's in such good shape.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, good.
It's got a little bit of wear, but like, yeah, it's
I've only seen 2.
Yeah, and I got dust on this thing. Oh, sorry, baby. But yeah, this is
Mike's
one of my
polishing his helmet on stream.
Just a minute, Solomon, come over here and look at this. Come here.
Oh yeah.
I want Solomon to come here. Okay, so the Iraqis during the Iraq War, the Iraqs had a special unit.
Trey said spit on it.
Called the Fedayeen, and they ripped off the Darth Vader helmet and wore it as a combat helmet.
They what?
Yeah, they wore that as a combat helmet. See?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait,
that's an actual Iraqi helmet.
That's an
Iraqi
actual combat helmet. Yep, that's
it can't be.
Yeah.
it is.
not.
It is.
It is.
Well, hey, Solomon, how do you lay down with this thing?
I don't think
How
you
do you
can
lay
do
down and
prone.
shoot?
Here.
Yeah. So, hey man, how's it going? I'm Mike. How do you lay down and shoot with this thing?
You can talk.
Yeah, you can talk. Go ahead.
How would Darth
We can-
Vader never see him laying down with it? He's always
How do you lay
standing up.
down? and shoot
You don't.
guns?
You don't.
That's why all the pictures you see of the Fedayeen, the guys that are wearing these things, they're all standing up in trenches.
So it's kind of just like a death hazard.
It's a terrible design. It was made to look cool. Functionally, no. It's terrible. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool helmet though.
Can you imagine how that thing would funnel the sound waves of gunshots right into your ears?
No, oh God. Ugh.
The old Darth
Oh yeah,
Vader helmet.
that's a good point, Trey.
What?
Trey said pull up a picture.
Yeah, if you could pull it up, I'm gonna put this back on the shelf.
Yeah, the helmet from Spaceballs. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my that Fedayeen helmet was one of my like kind of lifetime like bucket list helmets. And I got one it was a couple years ago. Jesus.
It's not a very big picture, but it's what I was able to find. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, that's fine.
There we are.
You literally cannot fucking lay down with these things.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you
exactly.
go. Yep.
That's the only way you can use this thing is like standing up or kneeling or whatever. You cannot lay down.
There
Yeah, they
it
got the
is.
Iraqi M80 helmets behind them with the fucking salad on there. Yeah.
The salad.
Jesus.
Yeah, show your son. Now that I got the picture up.
Solomon, here's an Iraqi soldier wearing one. See it?
Huh.
Yep. Actual combat helmet. Darth Vader helmet.
So like before these
Is the rumor true that it's because Saddam Hussein was like infatuated with Star Wars?
Uday, his son, Saddam was. So, oh God. Yeah. So Uday, his son that was in charge of the Fedayeen and Saddam both, but like Uday more was infatuated. And then he was like, so Fedayeen means men of sacrifice.
Can you let the dogs out?
Yep. So it was Fedayeen Saddam Hussein. Right.
Okay.
That was the whole name of the organization. They were black. These guys were like fanatical, brainwashed youths that whatever. And they did put up a hell of a fight to the coalition forces for a bit. And then, yeah, it was like, they didn't last long. But it was one of these things where like it's so weird because okay, when I was in Iraq, Saddam had an entire replica of the Flintstones village built by one of his palaces next to Al-Fa Palace, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Jake, did you actually go there?
No.
Yeah, so I actually went there one day.
I didn't actually get to do any touring because I was in Mockler's platoon.
Yeah, that was my one day that I got to get off where I was and like go do something. And I went to Al-Fa Palace, which is fucking cool, all fake, but like fun. I get to piss in one of his his toilets, which is fun, Saddam's toilets. And then we went over to what's called Bedrock, and it's literally a fucking life-size replica with elevators and everything in it of Bedrock Village from the Flintstones, because Saddam loved the Flintstones and he built it for his grandkids. And I'm like, okay. So this does not surprise me at all that like Uday was so infatuated with Star Wars that he's like, yeah, we're just gonna fucking make all of our guys have Darth Vader helmets, you know, and it's Corelon. It's not even like ballistic.
Yeah.
At all. And it's but yeah. So that's a fun topic. But yeah, it's
I wonder where that guy's at today. He's probably owns a gas station or something.
He's probably in Congress. Was that out loud?
Which Congress?
Yes. Ours.
Yeah. Ours, yeah. No, he's probably toast or he's just living a life and trying to survive, but whatever.
He's living his best life.
Living his best life. So, but yeah, what the hell was I gonna say? Oh, so Josh, check this out. So this is one of the helmets you did up for Reveille, and then we used it for another project.
Yeah, in a minute, tell me what Reveille is, because I want to hear about that.
The film?
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I'm sorry, I don't know what it is.
So when I told you about, like, I was like, hey, I need this for a film project, and you're like, well, I'm about to close shop because it was pretty late in the year. I'm like, can you just fucking do these like 6 helmets and then whatever? No, as a film we made about U.S. soldiers in 1943 in Italy.
Okay.
In November, and we needed fixed bale helmets, and I had a bunch of swivel bale shells, which I sent you and everything, and I was like, hey, you can convert these and everything. Got that done, and no, the film actually turned out okay for our first go at it, and it's on Amazon. And
I'm going to share it in private chat. Share the link to it in private chat.
No kidding.
Okay.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, no. So you really helped out with that because the helmets look really good in the film. Like the refinish, we obviously muddied them up and shit, but like they looked fucking great. And the liners that you did too, that you gutted out and everything and like restored. Yeah, it was perfect. And I'm like, yep.
It's a very, very well done film. Very well done.
Yeah, for us first timers. Yeah. It's
on Amazon Prime.
Yep. In StreamYard, if you click on private chat, instead of the comments, I shared the link to it.
I see that. Okay. And that'll stay there?
Probably
we'll stay there
not
until we leave
StreamYard.
Okay. I'll remember.
But I also have the link. I can send it to you on Facebook. It doesn't matter. No,
Is it a really well made movie?
It's a movie. It's not like a docu-series?
No, it's an actual film. Like we made,
no kidding.
Yeah, we made an actual film, and that's why I was saying, like, I need these for a film. Can you do this? You're like,
wait, was that when I had my hand surgery?
Yeah, it was right before that. Right before that. And you were like, all right, I'll do it. And then you did it, and they were fucking perfect. And I'm like, cool. And then because I had to do liner work and shell work, and it was a lot of shit. But you got it done, sent it back, and I'm like, fucking perfect, beautiful.
Good.
And yeah, they look great on the film, and you know, you can see that because we went for like stupid details of like having fixed bales in November of 43 instead of swivels. You know, we didn't have any swivels in this film. We had fixed bales with sewn on khaki chin straps with a lot of the early things. We had a Holly liner that wasn't mine, but like we had a Holly Most of them were high pressures though, but like whatever. That's all we had to work with. And yeah, so I was like, yeah, excellent. You know, it was amazing work.
You know, there's no excuse for inaccurate helmets in movies, in my opinion. Not anymore.
There's not. And here's the thing too, is like, so for the German side, I'll just tell you this because I know you dabble in other shit besides M1s. So for the German side, I was in charge of the costumes for the whole thing, right? And wardrobe. And I said there's no reproduction German helmet that comes close to the original shape, profile, or appearance of it, and the sizes are gonna be fucked up. I don't want to use them. And so I bought, I think 5 or 6 original shells, and then I got the good liners from Czech Republic, which is a good friend of mine. There's a guy that I have there that I use, and so I restored all these fucking helmets, and it honestly looks so much better than you.
He might be having internet problems.
He did. He's froze.
He's got Starlink. I've got Starlink. I don't have my phone on me.
Nope. Now he went.
Yo, am I back? Am I
He
good?
got.
Yep, you're back.
I thought he might have got raptured.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking smack about the German helmets.
I ain't getting raptured. I'm staying here. I'm gonna be in purgatory. But so the same thing we did with. God, I'm gonna take this cover off. I got the SS cover on it for a video that I made. But so for the helmets, so this is an original size 66 M42 shell.
Okay.
And you know how hard bigger sizes are to get.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got this from Holland. And then I painted it. Oh, the decals worn off. But like I painted it the original Felgrau Dunkel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I put the decal on there, which wore off during shooting, right? And then this liner was in there and it was good. And I also painted that.
Oh, cool.
Because that was one of the characters in the film.
Okay.
A very young kid. And so I did that for all this shit. And I'm like, here's the thing. I'd rather spend a shitload of money on original shells than have repro shells look like dog shit. And I think when I'm watching this thing, because occasionally I'll go back and watch parts of it and everything, I think that was the right choice because there is no excuse. You can do it. You just have to know somebody who has the connections and the know-how and the want to actually make things right. And where I watch good series like Generation War, like Unsere Mutter, Unsere Vater. Great, but the helmets were all fucked up. They were all repros, and they were just looked like trash. And same with M1s. I look in there, and I'm like, oh, it's a Chinese repro. The profile's not even fucking close. It's just terrible. Like in Hacksaw Ridge, they're all Chinese repros.
Hacksaw Ridge is a strange one because I think it was an Australian company that got the contract for those steel helmets, and they bought like 250 of my helmet chin straps for that film, and I think it's Hacksaw Ridge, or they sewed them on wrong, I think. And I'm like, so I never brag about that one. Because it's like,
no, but it's not your fault. Like you supply the correct chin straps. It's up to them.
Yeah.
So, like, and so like, okay,
were those all Dutch maybe or something like that?
No, they were Chinese made. I guarantee you. The profile, like if you look at it closely,
is that the movie with the comedian who's really big dude, and when he's wearing his helmet, it looks like a thimble on top of a thumb?
Yeah, what the fuck is his name? I know his name.
Chicago.
Hugh
he was he did some movies.
Jesus Christ, I know his name.
He was in Wedding Crashers.
Yes, it's fucking
that guy. Yeah. What's his name?
I know. Why the fuck can I not remember his name?
Super popular like 15-20 years ago. He was
and he also realized that, oh, I'm a conservative, so I'm just going to bow out and go to Montana. And what the fuck is his name?
He dated Jennifer Aniston. Jeez,
Jesus Christ.
I can see his
yeah,
face.
there we go. Vince Vaughn.
Yes.
There we go. Vince Vaughn.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. How the fuck can I not remember that?
that guy.
I was like, I have a
wasn't
helmet
Hacksaw
from
Ridge,
Eastside
then.
ADHD. He
That-
wasn't Hacksaw Ridge, yeah.
That guy should not wear an M1 helmet. He does not help the cause.
Well, it wasn't fitted well at all.
Well,
Like
it
I have a
wasn't-
melon too,
well,
but like
it wasn't an M1.
no, it wasn't. It was a Chinese repro. And that's the thing is like with an M1, you can actually get it to fit because I have a melon, right? Like I wear a fucking 7 5/8 and whatever, and I can still get an M1 to fit somewhat correctly.
That's something in the last month that I fielded more than any other question is my helmet doesn't fit. And there's no good way to ask somebody, are you a fat ass? You can't do that. You know,
no,
so then
and it's
I'm like,
Did
okay.
you try getting a smaller head?
I'm like, let's talk about you. Are you a linebacker or are you a punter?
right, exactly.
And then they're like, all right, I get what you're saying. I'm a linebacker. And I'm like, all right, well,
and that's the thing is like with the M1, it's like you have the drawstring on top, you have the nape strap, which has to be the correct size, which also is a niche thing. Like they came in different sizes and all that shit. And it's like you can actually make that helmet fit. That's the whole point of the Riddell system is it's one size adjustable to all.
yeah.
Or
fits
most rather.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the thing is like the German helmets are like, okay, there's this size shell. You have this 2 sizes of liner or you're fucked.
Yeah.
And that's another good thing about the M1 is like it's universally one size fits most.
You know what movie they nailed the helmets in? The Pacific. And I'm not saying that as bait. I'm saying truly they did get the helmets right. Even Band of Brothers, there's noticeable mistakes. Like when they're in boot camp and they're standing around and none of their helmet liners have an eyelet.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
I'm like, come
there's
on.
a couple that did. There was a couple.
I'm like, who overlooked that one?
Dale Dye. Here's the thing is Dale Dye is really good at like macro shit, right? He's really good at macro level shit. You need a nerd like myself and Brian McCallion who can come on tonight.
I know that
and
name.
Brian McCallion.
Yeah.
He's probably bought shit from you and like had you do stuff before.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was my my right hand as an advisor for uniforms and on Reveille, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we first met in real life, and it was great because we had nerd arguments, but like we would come to a conclusion and like be like, "This is the most accurate. Let's just do this."
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And then I worked on him in a project this summer. There was a lot of shit that was out of our control, which sucked, but like it was still a good experience of like he fitted my M1, like my Holy, to me. And you know, like check this out. Let me just quick see. I know they tucked the the liner chin strap in below the liner a lot, but I don't like that look. I like the look of the M1 like this. And so this is how I can't hear you, but I can see you. So this is how my M1 fits, and I have a big skull, right?
Mike is the only person in the world that an M1 does not look massive on.
To look decent and presentable and all that stuff. And
we can talk about
so
it.
Good at, like, doing that shit. And it's so fun working with him on that shit. Doing like historical advising shit and just the gear stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that like Dale Dye lacked a lot. Like even in Saving Private Ryan and shit. You know, stuff like that. Like I get he did it. It's
passable.
It's passable, but again, they're not going to be wearing the invasion vests D+1. They're not going to be wearing that because it
doesn't pass the Blu-ray test.
No,
it doesn't pass the nerd test because I'd never noticed anything wrong with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is if you're a nerd and you specialize in one or more things of like gear, if you're a gear nerd, you're gonna go, nah. No.
Yeah.
What you didn't hear because you didn't have your headset on, Mike, is
Yeah.
I said you're the only person on the planet that can make an M1 not look like you're wearing a soup pot on your head.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm not. That's
Oh,
bullshit.
We were talking about your hardcore while you couldn't hear us.
Yeah.
It was fun. No.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't give a fuck. I can
It
just
was
watch the
actually
playback.
a compliment to, because it
No, but,
doesn't
like,
look
here's
like
the
you're
thing is-
swimming in it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Well, yeah, well, there's that. Yes.
Well,
'Cause I have
what did
big skull.
an average GI, I think, went in at 128 and after basic weighed like 155?
Yeah, because the game muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you throw an M1
And because
helmet
they were
on
being fed.
if you if you threw an M1 helmet on a 155-pound person, they do look humongous.
I've got
Yeah.
a really small head. Like my hat size in basic was a size 7, and I think I went up to like a 7 1/8 over the course of my 20s.
Well, you've got a flounder head though. Like your
Oh,
body,
shut up.
Your body is so fucking sadly.
Here we go.
shapen.
I
Here we
can
go.
take my headset off and walk away, and 10 minutes later he'll still be going on
No,
about
it's
how
just
I'm
like,
misshapen.
you are. Well, you also admit it. You
My
know you're
legs
misshapen.
go all the way to my armpits.
And then you're 6'1", right?
6'0".
I thought you were
Six even.
okay, but anyway, you're 6'1", very misshapen, very unproportional, very weird, and you have a size like 7 hat. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ!
Yeah, like really small hat
So an M1 on you
and a
would literally
14.5-inch neck.
oof.
I
Good.
sucked at. I hated getting taped in the Army because I'm 6 feet tall and I have a 14.5-inch neck.
There,
I 75-inch waist.
while you two are bantering, I scrolled through the comment, and there's a fellow that said something to the effect of, "I bet Hollywood has a lot of OG surplus," and that made me think of one of the things that was really beneficial to me when I first got going was, do you remember? What was the name of the company? They supplied World War II impressions with field gear back in the day.
Oh, that's before my time. I don't know.
It might come to me, but Ray Meldrum, he had a company. He did all the field gear for Band of Brothers. Anyways, a prop house, Western Costume, approached him to restore some helmet liners, and he knew that I had popped up on the scene back then.
Yep.
And this was in 2002, late 2002. And so Western Costume approached me, and they sent me 600 original World War II helmet liners that they had used in the movie industry, and they were roached. And what the deal we made is, I'm going to send you 600, you're going to send me back 200, and you can keep 400. And so for me, this is still when I was like buying a helmet here, buying a helmet there, finding a liner here, finding 10 VFWs there, VFW liners, stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah. So that's where I got really good at hand setting helmet liner web kits, because I did all 200 of those by hand. And that was such a huge job, and I'm so glad I got it. But that's what made me realize that I needed to go all in. And
all in or nothing, yeah. Yep.
And that's when I bought my press. That's when I found my bar tacker. That's when I went and I bought. I contracted with a webbing company to make my first run of herringbone twill, to put all that in. It was that kind of that push I needed.
So that was what you think was like what got you from going like, it's kind of fun,
Yeah.
side hustle,
Yeah. Yep,
to
absolutely.
fucking
Yeah.
where you're at today. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So the thing that was cool about that was yes, costume companies have boatloads of great surplus. So
if only that stuff could make it onto the market.
Yeah, but they keep it because you never know when you're going to need it. But that whole thing ties into like, I don't know why I just don't understand why they don't get helmets right, or like why they don't reach out to.
Right.
Oh, you should have seen, what was it? Was it last year or the year before, Mike, when you got into a pissing match with Spartacus over their German helmet video?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and
that fucking yeah, it's what the hell's the channel name or
the
whatever?
World War II YouTube
Oh
channel.
yeah, he had a fucking Spanish Model Z or 1942 helmet as the Stahl helmet. I'm like, that's a derivative, but it's not a fucking. And he's going on, and he just got so much shit wrong. Usually on those videos, I can forgive it, but like they have a big audience, and I'm like, no.
They have a
And
huge
so
audience.
I made a rebuttal, and well, when I was actually like, I started commenting. I said, no, this is incorrect. This is incorrect, and this is incorrect. Blah blah blah. And he just got pissy with me because he's an academic.
Yeah.
Academics, for the most part, suck ass. They're terrible people because they're never going to be proven wrong. And I'm like, no, here's what. And then he just got an attitude with me. And I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to make my own video. And so I made a rebuttal and I went into detail about what they said that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And they got all pissy and frickety fucky. And a lot of their fans came on and were like, just trolling. They didn't even watch the video. They just were trolling. And I'm like, oh, whatever, go fuck yourself. But no, it's a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't understand that was the way it is. Awesome, very informative, cool. And it was just
yeah,
like
anybody who actually watched Mike's video after watching Spartacus's video was like, oh wow, they really missed a lot.
Oh, they just shit the bed. They
like
they
they only
even read
like
Wikipedia for fuck's
they
sake.
only had like 3 helmets in their entire video, and 2 of them were wrong.
Yeah, well, and they just the things they said, like because they went from World War I through World War II and like the evolution and everything. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's good. And then I watched it. I'm like, oh my god, it's so egregiously fucked up that I have to say something. And so I did. And then they got the one guy got all frickety fucky with me. I'm like, yeah, imagine being in school for your entire life. Haha, great.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, yeah. But anyway, I made that video and it actually, a lot of people were like, oh, thanks for actually clarifying this. That makes a lot of sense. So,
yeah. And Mike actually came with actual examples of the helmets as they changed.
Because I have all of them. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. And in various sizes too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It was fun, but like that's the only time I've actually done that, like a rebuttal to somebody else's YouTube video.
Yeah, sounds like a
so
YouTube brawl.
Well, it was for a while, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I just want people to understand what actually the facts are, and they're all basic facts. They're not like anything like super niche or in depth. It's like, no, if you want to understand the Stahlhelm, here's where you have to go to.
Okay,
and then here's the evolution. Here's the different models that were created, and here's why. And then bam. But they got it so fucking wrong. And usually I'll watch a video and it's like, okay, you got this, and this wrong. Okay, whatever. Move on.
That's something I've always thought about doing is I have a wildly underutilized YouTube channel. And I've often thought about making some videos, just some from the ground up. But then I decided that we would, with my buddy Mark, we would do the blog. And so that's where Big Red, the Big Red Battle blog was born.
Yep.
But I've often wondered, like, even in that, some of the comments you get, it's like, I've literally laid out with empirical evidence, this is the way it is. There are no ifs, ands, or buts.
Correct.
And you still have to deal with people that are like, nope.
The comment section is cancer.
Yeah. And
I would suggest
it just blows my mind. Like I don't know. Do I have the constitution to? I think I would have to be the guy who just lets the comments just you do you and you're crazy. It'll show itself. But man, there's some like you sound more like you'll go hard in the paint on someone if they deserve it. And I feel like sometimes I want to do that. And I'm like, I don't know.
Is it?
I don't engage or even look at most of my comments, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll look through them once in a while, and if there's something that's like absolutely just vitriol and just shitty, like whatever, I'm just like, I just roll past it. And if you have a YouTube channel, you should definitely start making videos on the M1 because I don't think anybody on YouTube, like I'm trying to think as I'm talking, which is very difficult for me, but like I don't think there's any other channel that has published the in-depth, like because right here, right now on this stream, we haven't even scratched the surface of the M1. We're not talking about fucking washers. We're not talking about different manufacturers. We're not talking about different webbing, different HBT material, different sweatbands, chin straps, all that shit. We're just scratching the surface here of like basic stuff. Now, if you have a YouTube channel, you may. I watch your videos on Facebook.
That's as far as I go because I can easily cross platform from Instagram to Facebook, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. But I've often thought about doing like a 10 video series, you know, like 10 videos. And this is just a series that you can watch 1, 2, through 10. And by the
About
time
10
you
minutes
get
a pop. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
By the time you get to 10, you know, Jake's going to be up to speed.
Yep. I would highly suggest
watch
you do that. Yeah.
And because when I do look at YouTube and every now and then my buddy will send me videos, it's usually like some 15-year-old kid who's like doing his best out in the backyard.
Exactly.
And some of them are actually like they're heartwarming. Like they're like, you know what, kid, you keep on going, man. You know, you're on the right track. And then some of them are just, they're awful.
It's atrocious. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just the way, but I've never really fallen on anything that's like some of the videos I've seen where you sit down and you're breaking down something. I watched one today. Oh, I saw one of your shorts where you're showing how to do the Japanese helmet chin strap.
Yep.
That was a good one.
I'm like, oh shit, that's how you do that.
Yep.
You know, and I'm like, nice.
It's
really,
that actually looked like it was when you do it right, that actually looks like it's really comfortable too.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is.
It looks, I'm like, so simple too.
It's a 3-point, but it's like,
yeah,
it seems so complicated, but it's like
uses one ribbon.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
It uses a single ribbon.
It's 2.
Does he use 2?
And there's
the
there's no metal digging in.
Nope, there's nothing. It's a knot, but if you tie that knot smoothly, you're good to go. And it should have been a square knot, but I just did the one because of the video.
Yeah. But I use that as an example because like there really isn't any.
Right.
I think part of it too is I don't think M1 helmet collecting is secretive, but people don't like to let the cat out of the bag either. So like you don't go all in on like every nook and cranny of it because you like, I don't know, it's like, do you want to create another collector? Like there's some of that. There's some of that.
I know.
I'm also kind of like,
but at the same time, if you don't share your wisdom and your knowledge, then eventually it's going to be lost.
If you don't, then someone's going to take a scratchy pad to their helmet to expose the heat stamp.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's one, you know, Mike has seen me rant about the boomers many, many times. So I'm not going to get into one of those, but it's the same thing. Is that a lot of those guys, I used to be really good friends with one of the premier sources of information and knowledge on M1 Garens. That guy at the time, this was going on 20 years ago. At the time, he was in his 70s, so I can't imagine he's still alive now. But it's like he had literally thousands of M1 Garens, and he had a toolkit that he would take with him to gun shows just to look at M1 Garens and see, okay, what is this actually? You know, he could look. He was one of the guys in the M1 Garen field who could look at the drawing numbers on all of the parts and tell you if it was the correct drawing number for that receiver.
Okay. And
just by looking at him, like he had that committed to memory.
And are you saying his information's now gone? Pretty
much. He never wrote a book about it. He just kept it all to himself. He didn't share any of it with anybody.
Are you guys aware of a fella named Hayes Otupalik?
No.
The guy or Hayes, Autopolic or whatever. Yeah.
He's one of those guys. Somebody needs to sit down with that man and a camera and just let him talk.
But
he's
agreed.
Yeah.
But
He is a
that's the
wealth
kind
of
of
information.
that's the kind of thing that I like. I try to I would like to encourage you guys that actually know the nuance, the fine details of this stuff to, share your knowledge, because it's like eventually it's not going to be there if you don't share it.
Yeah, the last few years since I've kind of ramped up my Instagram game,
Yep.
and I enjoy it because it's just such an easy platform for me because it's instant. There's little editing. I can just do the thing, and I've got really good reach with it. At least I feel like I do. And
Yep.
what I do is more and more I'll let the cat out of the bag, but I do it in such a way that if you're not paying attention, you're not going to pick it up. Do you see my stories on Facebook, Mike?
Yeah, I watched them. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, do you ever feel like I'm trying to say something, but you gotta have, like, you need to have an ear to hear it? Not that
As far as trade secrets, yes, and I totally understand that. As far as knowledge, no.
Okay.
I think it's pretty easy to understand, but also I'm a fucking nerd and I know how to. So yeah, that's a good point. Like I'll watch your shit, and from here on out, if I hear something that's like whatever, if you want me to point that out to you, like what you just explained, like you say it, but like whatever, and people might not understand it, I'll point it out to you. But like,
yeah.
as far as now, no, it's just trade secrets. Obviously, you've got things that you can do.
I mean, a few there's a few things that I keep close, but most of it is just things that anybody would discover if they did this every day.
Correct.
It's not rocket science. So the stuff that's not rocket science, I share all the time. And then what I try to do is I try to show more of technique. And I'm talking about like restoring, so like, I mean,
like with your modified C-clamp the other day, that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, look at this thing I found, and then I'm playing around with it, and I'm like, oh, holy shit, it squeezes semi-tubular rivets. So then I tested it out, and I'm like, oh my god, you could actually use this thing if you wanted to. I mean, it'd take you half an hour to do a web kit with it, but you could do it. So I kind of like to talk about little things like that, because then it helps guys not ruin stuff. Like I have a person right now in Florida that just totally egged out a helmet liner trying to drill out the bad webbing. And now he's like, I wish I would have just sent it to you. And he wants to know, can I fix it? And I'm like, well, I can. And so I'm going to, but like little things like that. So like, I'm on Instagram saying, drill out a helmet liner from the inside out, not the outside in. And then I wrestle with that, because to me that seems so basic.
Yeah, some people don't have the basic mechanical aptitude to know the difference.
Right. So it's hard for me to do it without this like touch of sarcasm.
Well, also here's the thing, Josh, is you've been doing it for 22 years.
Yeah.
Okay? It's hard for me to even like kind of conceptualize what it's like when I started learning about firearms or helmets or anything like that. It's hard for me to conceptualize going back to that point where I didn't know jack fucking shit.
Right.
And if somebody would have explained something to me in a way that they're teaching somebody who doesn't know jack shit but is very interested in it.
Yep.
That would have been great, because I had to read books. I had to fucking do this. I had to, when the internet came out and I had access to it for the limited amount of day that I had. It's like, it was a different experience. Now, if you're making videos and like educational shit, like you have been, and showing the technique and everything. Here's the thing, dude, is like, there's very few fucking people in the world that want to restore one M1 or two M1s. They're going to put in the hundreds of thousands of dollars you put in your business in the past 22 years. So that concern of like somebody coming in and like being your competition, it's always there, but it's not absolutely realistic. Right. Like And
And
also,
also with 22 years under your belt, you've got a lot of momentum that somebody else is going to have to work really hard to overcome.
Yeah, like
exactly.
one of the things I really want to do so bad, and like this isn't in any way like a tease or anything. It's just an example. I want to explain how I mix my paint down so bad. How I flatten it, how I get the color right. I mix my paint in house.
You have to. Yep.
So like I'm not buying paint that's ready to go. So I have to do it maybe tomorrow, Monday for sure. I'm going to be mixing up 4 more gallons of helmet paint because I ran out this week. And there's part of me that wants to show everyone how I do it, because number one, I know for a fact that then they're going to be like, oh, I'll give them $30 for a half pint of that. So
there you go.
I just vindicated myself, because I also hear, Jesus Christ, this stuff is expensive. But when I show you how I do this, you're going to go, no, nope, no way. I'm not doing that. There will be one or two people who are going to be like,
there always are.
I'm so glad you finally showed me that. You know,
what you can do is you can video it in such a way that you're not showing, so everybody can see what you're doing and see what the steps are, but you don't tell them the specific ratios.
Yeah, it's the recipe.
Yeah, you don't tell them the recipe, but you video the process.
Yeah,
well, that's like on how it's made and shit like that, like video or film like that. Like, they'll show like they're cooking food, but they're like, yeah, so we add this stuff in here. They don't say how much. Yeah, they don't say at all. They're like, that's part that I don't want to talk to you about. But like, here's the process of doing it. And here's the thing: is like a process like that. It's very labor intensive. It's very time consuming. It's very, you have to have experience because you fucked it up how many times before you got it right? Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's not going to be able to just take a video where you're showing the process and replicate your results.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
I
can show how labor intensive it is.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we'll just do a thing. Is I'm on a fucking tangent. Wild rice.
You don't even need to show them what the actual raw materials you buy are. You just say, okay, I've got, a gallon of this and a gallon of that and a gallon of that. And
so the difference between a $4 a pound of wild rice versus a $25 a pound is the process. It's labor intensive. Why is it better? Because of this, this, and this, and it is better. And like, that's why I'm willing to pay a lot of money for a certain pound of wild rice that's gone through the process. It's very labor intensive versus this $4 that it's like, it's manufactured and it's like cookie cutter, you know? And so you can make videos in a way that doesn't give away trade secrets, but it shows like, if you're going to, cause I combine paint too for, like German helmet paint that I do. A lot of that is I'll combine colors so it can't be replicated, but it's also historically accurate, right?
Yep.
And it's like, and I did that for the project for the Japanese helmets. I did that, and I made videos of like how I did it, but not the ratios.
Got it.
You could do that with an entire restoration of a whole helmet, start to finish, making the paint and then every step along the way. Doesn't mean that you need to tell people what kind of blasting medium you're using.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I like that. That's good. I'm glad I brought that up, because it is something that I have always wanted to do, is to do some tutorial.
Yeah, I would very much watch that.
Yeah.
And it's not even so much tutorial as it is just like a behind the scenes.
Yeah. And you know why? Because I find myself on YouTube, like I'll watch some kid in Minnesota build a log cabin. And I'm like, amazing. And I'll sit there for an hour and a half and I'll watch this dude build a cabin. And it's just like, oh my God, an hour and a half went by. Wow, this is awesome.
It's like,
because people like it.
The long form content that I watch on YouTube all the time is the stuff that shows the process. It doesn't have to show the specifics, but it has to show the process.
Right.
Like, I don't need to know where you're getting your rivets from.
Well, and you already do that, Josh. You already do that on Facebook. It's like you show like when you're sandblasting and like lacquer coating the fucking liners and drying them off with your signature fan, which is fun. But like you do that, and then then you show the steps and then you show the final product. And it's like, if you did that in a video form without giving away certain secrets and things that you've learned over the past 22 years, you can do that. Well, I don't think you have to fear competition, A, and B, it's like people will watch that shit. And if you watch, so you watch those people building the log cabin and how they kind of have like the music and they show, like it's just
and then
kind
they
of
can
an
do time
ambience.
lapse.
That's what I'm saying is like a time lapse
like for
of
the
music
mundane part,
or something. And it's like, because I mean, I know when you restore M1s, it's like there's a lot of fucking downtime, waiting, all that shit. Unless you have a huge batch, it's like waiting. Okay, and so you can do that in a way, and you can edit that in a way that is just like the people that you watch build log cabins, but restoring an M1 helmet. And then all these fucking idiots that say who's destroying history can go suck a fart out of your ass. Then
because that's a whole nother thing.
Out of the cat's ass.
Here's how you take an M1 helmet that's trashed and a liner that's trashed and you restore it back to its original glory. It's a very labor intensive and time intensive process. And then also do people bitch about your prices?
Yeah, they do, but it's not to me, but I know that they do because it's so the funny thing, it's funny to me because number one, the price is the price.
I know. And that's the thing.
When you've been doing it this long and I had to have both of my hands operated on, you hit this point where you're like, you know what? The price is the price. And that's just the way it is.
And that's the thing is like
your labor is worth
if people
something.
knew the process from start to finish, they'd be less apt to be like, oh, it's over. Oh shit.
Right.
One thing
that's why I think it would be, here's like all this insider talk, but I think that's where the benefit would be.
I think so too.
9 guys out of 10 would be like, oh, he's really working. He works just like I do.
Oh yeah.
One thing that so there's a channel that I watch where they're literally building a car from scratch. It's a couple of guys in Britain that are completely redoing a Mini Cooper with a completely new driveline. One of the things that they did about halfway through they've done like 40 episodes now over the last 13 years. One of the things that they did about halfway through is they started putting a stopwatch. Like they would just start a stopwatch when they started making a bracket for a part on this car. And they would have the stopwatch visible in the camera frame, even when they jump cut. The stopwatch would always be in the camera frame to show, okay, this is exactly how long it took to make this one bracket to put this one part on the car. The part that we already had to go on the car that we already had, the bracket to attach the two together, and when they first did it, they were only working on it, on the weekends, like 8 hours a day on Saturday, 8 hours a day on Sunday. So they had 16 hours a week to work on the car because they had regular jobs at the time. The first time they did it, the bracket that they made over that 16-hour work, 16-hour time slot that they had took 9 hours. And they framed the whole thing as in, you guys are always wondering why it's taking 3 months for us to put out a video. This is why.
Right.
This one bracket took half of the time that we have on the weekend to work on the car.
Yep.
That's why it takes so long. So that's something else you could do is take a helmet restoration where you get the helmet in. You break it down into individual steps and make each step its own separate video, and then combine them all into one playlist. Release one, like release the cleaning step on as, I don't know what your process is, but let's say you get the helmet in, you inventory, you inspect it, and you clean it on step 1, and then you blast it, and then you mix the paint, and then repairs or whatever. Make each step its own separate video, even if they're only 10 minutes. Once you combine the whole restoration of the helmet into one playlist, you've got an hour and a half long playlist.
Yeah. I like that. And that's one of the things, for me, the beauty of Instagram is I can have a complete production day and just do quick 30-second, 15-second clips, all along my day. It's kind of the same idea. I should save those clips is what I bet I could put videos together just based on those alone.
Well, what you do is all you do is you just get a fucking camera stand, right? You put it over your shoulder and you record. Instead of 30-second clips, it's the entire step.
Yeah. And then you and then you cut it up in post filming edit.
I like it.
Yeah, and it's that's what you do is,
and then you can do voiceover work.
Because nobody else in the fucking world will have this. This is a unique thing to you.
Yeah.
If you do this, because like I know there's other people that restore M1s and shit around the world, but like they don't actually make YouTube videos and have the entire process laid out and edited correctly,
Yeah.
And that's where it would be great, because you would be showing the process that you take to restore the helmet without showing your suppliers for rivets, your supplier where you got the headbands, where you got the chin straps.
Yeah, that's the part of the process too that I just decided a few years back. You know what? I'm going to start to pull the curtain back a little bit, because there's a lot of really nice guys out there that are customers of mine that restore helmets, and some of them I mean I'm just like, wow, I mean, you are talented.
Yeah.
But it's like it still has this, like, there's like this weird magic element. Like there's literally nothing, and then there's this helmet on the website for sale. And I'm like, well, how did you get there? It's like you didn't like wave a wand. There's a whole process that you went through. And
exactly.
And I've always been like, I think it would help my customers to understand that, like, if you're going to take someone's money that's working 40 or 50 or 60 hours a week, because they're going to entrust you to build them this helmet, and they've worked for it, I like them to know that I'm sweating it out too.
Yes.
I mean,
one thing you could offer, if you were to start videoing the process, is you could offer actual video of a customer's helmet being restored.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could be like, okay, for an extra $5 or for an extra $10 on your order, here's the actual video of your helmet being restored.
Guys like that. When I do that on Instagram, I'll tag them, or like when a lot of times when I mail out helmets, I'll put 10 of them on a table. I'll take a picture and I'll put the state they're going to. And every time I do it, someone's like, oh, I'm in Oklahoma, I bet that one's mine. And then I'm like, it is. And then they're just like, awesome, So like, I watched your stories all week.
Yep. Yeah, and that you could definitely do that with YouTube.
Yeah.
You could definitely do that, because that's shit that people would watch. That even if they're not interested in the M1 helmet per se, they would still watch it and be like, okay, this is a man of craft.
Yeah.
And this is a niche thing, and this is like a really artisan thing, because I mean, again, you got so much equipment you've acquired over the past couple decades, and it's like really interesting to see somebody that's passionate about their craft and good at it, and then like, oh shit, that's very labor intensive.
When I go to do a show and I have the bar tacker out, and it's running, people come by and they'll shoot videos of me, because it's just amazing to them, because they just don't see that every day. They're like, what is that?
One thing,
and I'm like,
one thing I wouldn't mind doing, because I'm planning on putting together a World War II impression like the one Mike's wearing, because we were both in the 32nd. I do want to get a helmet, and I was actually looking at your website, and I was like, ooh, that's actually that early war infantry helmet is actually in my price range.
Okay.
Give me a couple of weeks to save up the extra money, and I can actually buy one. It'd be really fun if I could come in and actually restore the helmet that I'm going to buy, because I only live a half an hour away.
Wouldn't I let a guy that worked for me, he's like, can I restore he was an Airborne reenactor, and he's like, can I build it? And I'm like, of course. And so he did that. He thought that was great.
Well, how about this? To jumpstart your YouTube videos, why don't we arrange something, if it's fine with you? I live probably about 2.5, 3 hours away from you. We'll arrange that sometime. I can come down and like we'll show what we just talked about, of like the start to finish. I'll throw it on my channel and be like, here's his channel, here's his website and everything like that.
Put it on both channels.
That's what I
Put
mean.
the same video on both channels.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
That might
it
nice
might
for you too. For your channel, you just take a field trip.
might actually be able to do it where you do it in parts 1 and 2.
That's what I mean.
Part 1 is on Mike's channel, and part 2 is on your channel.
Ooh, look at that.
That's how you do it.
Now
that way, if they want to see the process, if viewers want to see the process complete, they have to go to your channel to see.
Yeah,
it.
I was just thinking about that because, like, again, it's
Battleship New Jersey did that with the USS Cod just recently.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Is like you promote both channels, and then it's because it'd be fun to just sit there and just fucking go through it. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
but like,
we can.
But Mike's really good at the video work.
Yeah, we can name the video. We're gonna make Jake a lid, or something like that.
That would actually be fucking cool.
Yeah,
make Jake a lid.
I would actually love to make my own that I purchase for you for your regular price.
We should do it quick though, because I'm retiring next week.
For the year. Don't bullshit anybody. You're retiring for the year next week.
I threaten myself. I'm going to fire myself at least once a week.
That's a small business owner. That's what you do.
Yeah.
There's so many times where I'm like, I'm done. I'm just going to go get a fucking 9 to 5.
Oh, like,
how about yourself up?
You know what I'm infatuated with is a rural mail route.
Yeah.
It's like $23 an hour. You just farting around in a truck, delivering letters. I'm sure you get
yourself a right-hand drive Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah. I'm sure you get chased down by a dog or two, but whatever.
Not if you're in a
They'll
Jeep.
get to know you.
Yeah.
They'll get to know you.
Anyways, yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah. One thing we could also do if Mike comes down, I've got a 200-yard range on my property.
I'm looking for somewhere to shoot so bad. I don't like going to the Dewey Range.
Oh, I don't go to public range. I haven't been to one in 2 fucking years. I hate them.
I've got a 200-yard range on my property. I can stretch it out to 250 if there's not corn in the field. And a neighbor of mine who's planting in my field, who rents my field out for favors, he has a 600-yard range.
Oh, you got
I have access to.
Oh, let's do it.
And a machine shop. He's a small business owner too.
Okay. Yep. Man, I go to the public range early in the season, but like now in October forget it.
Gotta go and sight my deer rifle here. Why are you shooting more than 2 rounds a minute? I'm trying to sight in my rifle here. Don't you know?
Well,
I shoot my rifle 3 shots a year. That's all I need. One to make sure it's still sighted in, and then the other 2 to fill my deer tags.
I always say to guys, I'm like, did you drop it? No. Okay. Then what's changed?
Yeah.
The fact that they haven't shot it since last November.
But I don't know. I just don't get it. But that's just
I shoot 3 bullets a year like everybody else should.
Yeah. Out here, I'm trading with 22 long rifle all year round, But come deer season, I'm gonna get that 243 up here,
Yeah, and I built Solomon. I built him a 22, and so he's too young to go to the range, and so we'll shoot a few rounds here because I'm out of the city. But I don't like doing it because I have neighbors.
Oh, same here, yeah, yep.
But it's like, and it's like I really want to take him.
Around me shoots.
And then you have to tell him, well, you got to wait till next year. You can go in your 10. And he's like, dude. And I'm like, I don't.
That's
bullshit. It is. It's
That's
just
bullshit.
the way it is.
It's stupid. Like my dad started teaching me how to shoot when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And fucking God, people are. But then you do get dipshits out of public range, that don't know how to handle firearms themselves, that bring their kids out, and then it's like a catastrophe. It's just.
There's a lot of tacticals, and I don't like shooting next to them. And I know that might prickle some people, but it's like I'm not about that. I don't like.
Well, most of the tacticals are people who don't understand how to control a firearm in a tactical setting. If you can do that, cool. But most of these people just go out there and they just want to burn through as much fucking ammo and they want to do these up down drills and fucking whatever, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. And I've made so many fucking videos on making fun of those assholes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's called range ninjas. Yeah.
Range ninjas. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. They're
I'm not down for it.
That's why I don't like public ranges. I don't like the FUDs who are out there like, oh, is that a Springfield? When I'm shooting like some.
Mike's got some awesome videos where he's making fun of boomer FUDs.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the worst. Well, and yeah, but I mean, I go out there, I go to a range, and I want to just fucking shoot, and I want to be safe, and I want to make sure everybody has a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you still get some training in, you get some experience in. Bam, that's the whole goal of going to the range.
Yes,
it's to me like a lot of people that go to a public range are just like I just said, it's one or the other. It's like they're either a FUD that's just fucking bitching about everything. Oh, is that an assault? Okay, so for example, Josh, a couple years ago, I was many years ago now, I was shooting trap league at my local gun club, and I used a Benelli M1014, right? So the fucking tactical whatever. But I'm like, I don't have a lot of shotguns. I have that and a pump fucking Benelli. And I'm like, this is the only shotgun I'm going to need for multi-purpose hunting, defense, just fun shooting, whatever. It's an expensive shotgun. It's fine. I would go out there and I'd sling 23 on average, right? And that's not bad. And every time I would go up there, there'd be some fucking old dude drinking a fucking Miller Lite or some shit going, oh yeah, is that an assault shotgun you got there? And I'm like, no, it's a shotgun. And they're like, yeah, well, you ain't gonna be able to hit much at that, are you? And I'm like, okay. I just walk up and then I'd sling 23 or 24, you know, just fucking whatever. And then I won't go into the whole thing because I already made a video about it, but like and it's boring, but like the people there just fucking hated the fact that I didn't have like a Browning Satori over under that I paid $5,000 for a double barrel fucking shotgun.
Oh, and, yeah.
You know, I wasn't committed to it. I'm just like, no, this is a fun thing for me. I'm on a trap league. I'm shooting for fun. And if I get a high score, it helps the team. And we actually won.
You need to do is tomorrow's go buy yourself an 870 Express, show up with that, and just outdo all of them.
Well, even if I did that, they'd be like, oh, no, yeah, you got it. You got yourself a fucking some insert double barrel over under shotgun here. Yeah, you got to get that because, you know, if you're going to be shooting trap with that, you know, it's not going to be a good time. You know, you're not going to get your average up there. Your handicap's going to be pretty high.
In August, I inherited my a few of my father-in-law's firearms. So the 22, I put a youth stock on it, and then I wanted to get a new scope on it. So I went to a local guy and we were talking, and I mentioned to him that when I was in high school, I used to be on the high school shooting team, and he was young enough. He was old enough to go, oh, did you use the so-and-so rifle? And I said, yes. And he goes, oh, I have one of those. But he was also young enough to where he's like, what did you just say? And I said, oh, I was on a shooting team at my high school.
Yep.
And he like, huh? And so I had to explain that to him. But that's what I like to do. I like to be able to lay there and be like, can I put one right on top of the other?
Yep.
Okay. He's like, you know what? You should go to the Rapids gun range because they have a shooting team. He goes, but then he's scratching his chin and I go, what? And he goes, well, they can be a little particular.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh God. So he goes, if you can get through that though, if you can get to the point where they respect you. And I'm like, nah, I mean,
you shouldn't have to do that.
No, I don't want to go measure my pecker with some 80-year-old guy.
Correct. That's exactly it. And it's like, and it's just, that's why, again, I haven't been to a public range in a long time because it's so fucking obnoxious. And
that's why I bought 11 acres.
Yeah. Well, good for you.
The Corbin range up in Wausau really put me off. You know, there was one day, you know, it was, I don't even remember what it was. It was about 10 years ago. Me, my wife, and one of my really good friends who lives up by Mercer now, we went out to the Corbin range for, an afternoon of shooting. And we're in we went in, we paid our range fee, and we're in the process of hauling our stuff from the car to the shooting range or to the shooting line. And I'm hauling rifle cases, I'm hauling pistol cases, I'm hauling ammo boxes, because I'm when I go to the range, I do a lot of shooting. That's kind of what you're there for. And I set my rifles in the rifle racks, and this whole time I've got a pistol on. I've got my Springfield XD on my hip in a holster, and it's loaded because I have a concealed carry license and because open carry is legal in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got my pistol on my hip and it's loaded. I'm not touching it. I'm hauling stuff to the shooting line. The range officer comes out of the fucking office, walks up behind me while I'm getting my rifle ready to put on the shooting table so I can start shooting. And he says very loudly, you can't have a live firearm in a holster on the shooting line. It's in a holster and I'm not touching it, and I'm literally handling a fucking AR with a live round in the chamber on the shooting line. How is my pistol hurting anybody?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Somebody just wanted to flex.
Yeah. Well, it gets better because, okay, so I shot, I was doing a 300 yard zero that day on my AR. So I did some shooting. I'm like, I need a break. I've been staring at a 300 yard target for an hour. I need to rest my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So I take my wife, who was also, armed, had a pistol on her, and we go over to the pistol range, and we start shooting pistol targets. While I am actually shooting, I'm actually putting rounds downrange from the pistol that was in my holster. I'm standing there putting rounds downrange. The range officer walks up behind me while I'm actively shooting and says, "You need to make sure you clean up your brass." And I stopped and I just looked over at him. I didn't say anything. And I'm like, okay, I'm standing on a carpet of empty 22 casings.
Yeah, exactly.
That are black from age. And you're telling me I need to pick up my brass?
Okay. Yeah. So he picked on you that day. Mm-hmm. For sure.
And that day I was wearing my dysfunctional veterans polo shirt. And underneath the this was when I was still in my bro vet phase after we got back.
Yep.
But underneath the collar, on the very back of the collar, if you popped the collar, it said "Go fuck yourself" under the collar. Okay. So I go back to the rifle range after that. After picking up my brass, I go back to the rifle range and I'm back down behind. This time I'm actually down behind my Thompson Center black powder. My 54 caliber black powder. Yep. And I'm pissed off at this point at this guy. So before I even sit down, I pop my collar up and I get down behind my black powder and I'm about to start shooting at 300 yards with my black powder. And I didn't know this at the time, but apparently he walked behind me again.
Mm-hmm. And
he just glared daggers at the back of my head and walked off in a huff. So he read the back of my collar.
Good. He can go fuck himself.
Hold on, my Roomba. Where'd you go? Oh, I can't see it now.
It's under the cat.
How loud is that?
Can't hear it.
We're good.
Okay.
I didn't even know it was going.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Corbin range that day just put me off. It's like I haven't been back to that range since.
Yeah.
And I refuse to go to a public range now, especially now that I got some.
So it sounds like we have to set up a fucking little shooting date.
Yeah, that would be fun, actually.
Mm-hmm. Probably in the spring now.
250 is not bad. 600 is even better.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I said, the 250 has to wait until after the corn's gone. Because
you have 200 solid right now, right?
Yeah, 200 solid.
I think if we're gonna reach out like that, I think I'd bring my M1A then.
Fucking fine with me.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I can get my Savage off the wall and stretch it.
Dude,
Stretch its
if we're
legs a bit.
gonna do that, I will actually get my reloading shit and I will load up a bunch of 3040 Craig for the Craig Jorgensen.
Ooh, that would be fun.
The 1898. You guys ever shot one of those?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you guys will. It's a fucking Rick and Morty reference, so you probably won't get that. But like, once you shoot this, yeah. Well, remember when he's like, "You want to experience true level?" He's like, "Nothing is right. Everything's fucked up." You know, he's like, does that. That's how you're gonna feel when you shoot the 1898 Craig Jorgensen.
That just sounds like slavery with extra steps.
It is. It's definitely. You guys are gonna be like, because everybody shoots like a 1903 or specifically like an M1 in like these fucking national matches. You're allowed to use a Krag, or Krag is the Norwegian fucking gigantic fucks. This fucking rifle is. You're gonna be like, I'm gonna sell a bunch of shit to get one.
Okay.
It's not. It's like giving you heroin and saying, hey, the first shot's free, and yeah.
Is it like getting kicked by a really smooth mule? You know how when you ever shoot, you obviously have shot an Eddystone.
A 1970. Yes, I have.
Okay, you know how those are like, you know, when you're out shooting them,
wait,
you're
I
like,
can't do that. We're on stream.
Yeah. You're fully aware that you're shooting that rifle. You know, like.
No, this is basically shooting a long rifle that kicks about like a 5.56, but it's shooting a 30 caliber cartridge.
Okay.
And that's got to be really slow muzzle velocity.
No, it's not. It's 14 or 1500.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm thinking there's
okay. So no, when you shoot this fucking thing, I wish I could fucking grab it and show it to you on stream. Maybe after we finish the stream, I can show you. But like, the bolt is buttery smooth. The cartridge is basically like a 30-30, a little bit more kick, or a little bit more oomph. But like, the rifle's longer than a 94, so it's you don't feel it, and it's so insanely fucking accurate.
Oh,
and the sights are so low profile. They're so easy to use. You can actually squeeze the trigger, boom, when it goes off. It's not going to hurt or anything. It's just boom. And then that round just goes exactly where you were aiming.
Nice.
And the Krag Jorgensen, I know the Norwegian fucker that was so pissed off that I said Krag Jorgensen, because I'm like, again, it's like saying swivel bail or fixed bail.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's a loop, but like everybody understands Krag Jorgensen versus Krag Jorgensen, you know? And so fuck that. So the Krag, though, it's if you guys want to do this, what?
We're Americans. We don't speak like we have a dick in our mouth.
Yeah, correct. Fucking Europeans. Yeah. All of you Europeans watching.
I love it.
But yeah, no, the Krag is my fucking favorite U.S. service bolt action rifle. And then close second is the 1917 service rifle, or as you call it, the Eddystone.
You've brought up, I'm going to go to helmets real quick.
Yep.
I've heard you say this 3 or 4 times tonight, and so this is for you. But, you know, swivel loop or swivel bail, yep. I think you can interchange them. It's the highbrow collectors that will use swivel loop.
Absolutely.
They're also the same type of people that are trying to squeeze every drop of blood out of the stone when they go to sell something.
Correct.
So they want to make sure their language is superior.
Well, that's the thing is like you can know these terms.
Yes, my swivel loop helmet is superior to your swivel
exactly. But like you can know these terms, but also it's like, yeah, but that's a small population of the people who are going to say that. So you know, it's like, okay, I have a very pedantic piece of shit kind of trope, like with myself, spicy versus hot food, right? I think spicy is like a lot of Indian food where there's a lot of spices in it. Right?
Curry.
Spicy means hot to 99.9% of people. And if I say, is this spicy? And they go, yes, I go, okay, it's going to have heat. It's going to be hot, which are two different things.
Right.
And so it's a pedantic thing. But again, most people that I talk to when I'm talking about food they're gonna hear spicy and think of hot. Flavorful, whatever you can go into, but like that's the kind of thing with like swivel bail or swivel loop or
Right.
fixed loop or whatever all that shit.
I think
So,
that the distinction needs to be made in the way you spell bale. So if you spell it B-A-L-E, that is a bale of straw or hay.
mhm.
But if you spell it B-A-I-L,
L.
that is the handle on a bucket.
Correct. Yep.
So the handle on a bucket is like a swivel bale.
It is
If
absolutely
you look at the helmet,
same
it
concept.
looks like the handle on a bucket. So
It's a piece of Yep.
in my mind, you can say swivel bale. It's a matter of the way you spell bale. Now, for years, I spelled bale B-A-L-E,
Yeah.
and then I finally kind of corrected myself because I prefer swivel bale. I think it's just easy.
It's a lot easier. Yep.
I think saying swivel loop is kind of, I don't know. I don't want to use the word pretentious. That's too strong, but it's just kind of like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I know exactly what
You're 5 guys sitting around a table shooting the shit about helmets, and you're swilling on a beer and having a good time, and you're like, semi-circular loop. It's like,
well, actually,
yeah,
that's the whole like meme thing. But like, yeah, it's that whole thing, and I'm guilty of doing that shit for certain things. But as far as like the bail, it's like that's what everybody's gonna understand, and that's the most common terminology. If they want to know about the pedantic part of it, I'll be like, yeah, it's probably a loop. But the bail is actually like that's a really good point. The swivel is more of a bail than it is a loop because there's a loop within a bail. And so yeah, because you've got the swinging hinge, like the piece of metal that's around that, and but like the loops, like the fixed loops, like the M2 and the M1, like the fixed ones. Oh, it's either or. I don't give a shit. I know what you're talking about. That's the whole thing. Is like, does the person you're talking to know what you're talking about?
correct.
That's what matters, really, in the end. And yeah, if you want to get into a pedantic conversation after that, okay, whatever. But yeah, so it's because what are these? Are they bails or are they loops?
Well, you know what? I think it could be a bail.
Yeah, well, it is. It definitely is. Because yeah, I mean, it's a piece of metal that's bent around it, and then
Just
there's
like
a loop.
it would be on the side of a bucket.
Correct. And so yeah, I think let's establish that right now. That's the correct terminology.
All right, let's do it.
Yep, it's a fucking bail. It's all these pedantic fucking collectors, M1 collectors. It's a bail. If it swivels, it's a bail.
Yep.
So, but yeah. Anyway, this is one that we use for our recent little project that we had, and then this is the one with the St. Clair.
Yeah.
Replica, dude. Those St. Clairs are amazing, and I'm so glad. For a couple of reasons. You could salvage because I've gotten a lot of them too. The rotted out fucking Vietnam era and post Vietnam liners.
Yeah.
And you made it look fucking awesome. You got the webbing in there, the rayon, and the fixed sweatband and everything.
Yep.
It's amazing.
It's a great way to repurpose a helmet liner that's never going to have collector value because we never fought a war in them. Those liners from the 70s and 80s are just
right. Panama, Grenada, but like we also had Paz gets mixed in, so who knows?
Yeah, and I say when I talk that way, that's not. I always like to say that it's not meant to sound disrespectful to people who serve.
Well, it's not disrespectful; it's a fact.
Yeah, it's just that there's a shit ton of surplus from that period of time, and it's just basically what it is. And so,
and to repurpose these. Because this is a beautiful, because an original St. Clair is going to run you in this, or even remotely in this condition, is going to run like $600 if you can find one.
Yep.
Because most of them are pretty beat up and whatever it is, but like having a repro that looks like you painted it beautifully, like the finish is beautiful, and the rayon liner and all that shit. It was so cool because a very very interesting guy wore this for this project that we did recently. And it was fucking amazing. It looked just great.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So
it looks like it's sweating in nice too.
Yeah. Well, I sent it to him because I aged the cover a little bit. I put it out in the sun for a couple of months, and if I were to take it out, like it's It's an SM wholesale.
Oh, those
liner.
are good ones. Yep.
Yeah, and so you can tell it's more green in here, and then it's more faded.
Oh yeah,
So,
I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it looks really good. And then the Saint Clair liner or the Repro.
Yep.
Dude, again, there's no way I would use a real one out in the field for reenacting or anything like that. There's no fucking way. And for you to be able to offer an alternative that's historically completely accurate, it's fucking awesome, because I think you're the only name in the game for that one with the rectangular washers too. That's the thing. Is it's like, it's fucking amazing. So I think you're the only name in the game at this point that's doing those. Great fucking idea.
I'm glad I did them. I wrestled with them for a really long time because I try to stay away from the Echo brand or Fubar brand, you know, like the lesser. But then
you don't want the exception, you want the norm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I am too. But here's the thing is, there were a lot of those fucking liners issued in every theater.
Yep.
And so it's cool to have the variety, and because like the high pressures. So like I'll show Jake this. So Jake, this is you know these liners, the brown ones.
What are those made out of anyway? I was going to ask that earlier.
Yeah. They're made out of heavy cotton duck fabric, and then they're impregnated with phenolic resin.
Okay.
So they're canvas. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, they're really fucking solid canvas. But
yeah.
I wouldn't want to get hit on the head with one.
Oh, you got a T-patch.
Oh, nice.
Well, yeah. So we did this for the film, and my wife actually painted these on.
She's great.
Yeah, I know. She
should do a side gig.
Josh,
right?
you should hire her.
No, I'm serious, man. If you did you wouldn't even have to have inventory. Just do a website, a simple little website where you offer painted insignia. I bet you she would be mind blown at how busy she would be.
Dude, well, she's got a full-time job right now, but like she also freehanded this. And
what?
She freehanded both of these.
Oh wow, even better.
And so I took an actual original 36 patch, and I said, "Here's what it needs to look like on the helmet," because this is what they did. And she put it on there, and she was like, "Okay." And she had the patch next to her, and she freehanded both of these fucking things. And I think it turned out pretty well. That's why, like, I'm gonna keep this one from the film. Like, I love this because it's not really shown in films a lot, you know, of like the 36 guys like painting these patches on there. But in Italy, they definitely did it. Salerno, that's when in Africa, they started doing it. And then at Salerno, especially like that whole campaign, they had those. So, but the high pressure is, it's made out of literally just cotton.
It's kind of one thing I wish we would have done in Iraq is sewn our unit patches on the side of our helmet covers.
I think they're doing that now.
Well, they did, but like
some units do, like the third ID does.
I took a Sharpie and put a red arrow on the back of my helmet cover. I still have it. But cool. I put a red arrow on the back of my helmet cover, and nobody gave a shit.
Kitsch let you keep your helmet cover, or did you just not ask?
Are you dogs getting crazy?
I got to keep my whole helmet.
You're lucky.
Did you have to buy it?
I had to turn mine in.
Did you?
No.
What's that word that guys in the military like to use when they
acquire?
Yes.
Steal strategically relocate equipment to alternate location.
So when we were at AT in 2011, I hope it doesn't come back to bite me in the ass. We went to a different place. Like, we were sleeping out in the woods, and we went to a different place for a few days, and we came back to the same place, and another unit had been there, and I found a K-pot on the ground.
Okay. And
I said, "Oh, is this anybody's? Did you guys drop this or whatever?" And nobody in our unit claimed it. And I said, "Well, fuck it." So I threw it in my ruck. And that's the one that I turned in.
Oh, there you go. I knew it. I knew you were going to say that because I hear that a lot. That's the one I turned in.
That's the one. So I actually have my K-pot that I wore in Iraq with the cover and everything, with the bitch that I was dating at the time's name in there with a heart by it. But I'm going to keep it. It's part of my history. And so I have
such a boomer line.
Mike,
he was part of my history.
He has this awesome freedom just to say shit. this bitch I was dating at the time.
Oh, she's a psychotic bitch. She's got borderline. I guarantee. I'm gonna go get my
love
fucking K-pot.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't really get to keep a whole lot of stuff, although I do have a pair of Sappy plates that I tactically acquired.
Okay. Nice.
The body armor plates,
Yeah.
Oops, shit.
front and rear.
So many fucking helmets. In my
I inherited some body armor from a friend of mine who flew.
Oh, you even have the nods mount too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And then this is what I was talking about. That's what I painted.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So again, I love helmets, and I'm like, cool. Got to keep mine. And again, if anybody in our unit would have said that's my helmet, I would have given it to them. But nobody did, and I'm like, well, I can't track this shit down, and I might have forgotten to ask other units if they were missing something. So, whoops.
Not
What's
your
on
job
your
to
mind?
track it down.
What's
Nope.
on your mind? Oh,
Oh, the poop loop.
look at this one.
Yep. That looks
This,
more like a dog than what I have.
this one here, he's special. He's our special little guy. Yeah.
Like,
I've got there's another
short
one.
bus special or
A little bit, yeah, a little short bus. Little short bus going on, yeah.
Is
He's
he licking the window, or is he just looking through it?
if he turns around too fast, he'll typically hit his head on something.
Oh, well, that's just dog. That's just doing dog things. Like,
No, it's not a dog thing. He's a
is he blind or something? Like,
No, he's just spatially unaware. For sure. I'll try and catch it on film sometime.
yeah, that'd be
Then
funny.
there's the other one. Come here, Chunky. You're not coming
that's
up. man.
that's a good way to introduce it. Chunky.
Come here, Chunky. Come on. You want to come up? Say hello. There.
You're gonna have a hernia.
Here's another one. This is Artis. Oh, yeah.
So is this one special too, or is this a normal?
Artis? No, Artis is she's she's pretty much perfect, but she is a counter thief, so she's a counter snitch.
Oh yeah.
If
Yep.
you and she's good at it too.
Mike,
the
doesn't the weasel horse just jump onto the counter
No, the weasel horse doesn't do that anymore. Since
anymore?
She's
did.
like a snout nudger. Like, you know how cats will paw something off
Yeah.
the counter? She'll snout nudge until it hits
well,
the floor.
it just fell. I
But,
don't know what happened. Yeah,
Once it hits the floor, it's free game.
yeah. No,
You know?
I have what's called a weasel horse.
You guys, let me show you the 29th helmet.
Yeah, this one. Hey, Nate, are you still watching?
Oh, I saw that in the
fucker?
background.
Nate, if you're still watching, look at this. Look at this.
So this one, I don't know, you guys.
Get a Kleenex, Nate.
yeah, he's gonna come in his fucking
This
pants.
is new to me.
Okay, I gotta make this big screen on my end.
Do you want me to? All right, I'm just gonna tell you. So I bought this from a guy. He found it in a. He
Mike,
found
can you make Josh bigger?
He found it in a thrift store
No, I can't. A thrift store.
for $40.
Old army helmet, right? Or something
Yep.
like
Is that
that.
just a liner?
Let me see.
That's the
what's
liner. Yep.
Yep, this is so. Come on, I'm doing everything back. That's the liner. That's it. That's medical tape, painted yellow. There's the insignia, and then on the back is the "Follow Me" stripe done in the
The
gray.
invasion bar. Yep.
Yep, done in the
Yep.
gray paint, and it's a rayon webbed Westinghouse.
What? Oh, fucking rectangular. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So this helmet and this
Holy
liner would
shit.
have been issued together. So we know this is a set. So the helmet itself is a set. That makes it special. And
Mhm,
then the
yep.
insignia matching on. So then this is the. I gotta go this way and get the glare. Sorry about the glare.
No, it's all good.
And
It
then
fixed
on the
itself.
back.
Yeah. My buddy Nate is the one that lives in Maryland and
Yeah,
reenacts
he's
29th.
watching.
Yeah.
Scuttlebutt movie. Scuttlebutt.
Yep.
review.
That's him. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's there.
Nate probably just came a couple times, so
So
Yeah, he
this-
said he had the lotion ready.
yeah.
this one I did a deep dive on, because you always want to try and figure out to the best of your ability if it's original, the insignia being original, and it is. It's not identified to a soldier, which is a bummer, but it's also not. The reason I say that is because, and you know this, Mike, typically if you had rank, you're also going to have,
Yep.
you're going to have it blinged out.
Still on the inside. Yep.
You're going to have your name in there or something. But I was talking to my friend Mark about that, and he goes, Josh, he goes, the guy who had this helmet probably had a job. He probably wasn't a combat, like he wasn't.
Right.
And so those guys had no pressure on them where they would lose their headgear, so they had no reason to identify it to themselves. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like why it's not all like this one. I mean, I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but this one, this Hawley, this guy's name's everywhere in this thing. It's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Oh, he's got the original. He's got the original rayon.
Oh, now I can see it.
sized.
Yeah.
I could see a dark smudge where it was at.
And that's what I do with my repro, because I've seen so many fucking
see the
Hawleys.
inside. See how
Yeah, it's got. That's a Marine Corps helmet because.
Oh, you think so?
Well, here's the thing. I'll show you really.
This guy stamped the crap out of this thing.
So, I was talking. I wish fucking Brian was on here.
That guy, whoever's helmet that was, he had a few pairs of socks stolen from him in basic.
So, yeah, this is what I did for mine.
Oh,
and I was doing Marine Corps, and so is this the same? Because the stamp that I have is the same font and everything that they would have had in the Marine Corps.
It looks like it.
It's like kind of square letters. Yeah.
I'll take a picture, a close up, and send it to you.
Yeah, and they would stamp the fuck out of things because they would get stolen.
Yeah,
if they didn't have it, and so that's probably a Marine Corps helmet.
Okay.
Well, the old adage is that there's only one thief in the military. Everybody else is just trying to get their shit back.
Yes. Yeah. So the 29th helmet was found in Colorado. That's where
Jesus Christ. That's a holy grail, like you said on the story.
That's nice. That is nice.
Is
that a front seam?
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Yep. So that liner, that fucking Westinghouse, the early Westinghouse, like the transitional.
It's a little rough, but that's the head. The webbing itself is all intact. It's the headband that's rotted.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter for this one.
What would you do to restore that to, serviceable condition, or would you leave that one as is?
So that's an excellent question, because this one I will never touch or do a thing to, because you have to have. There's like levels of it's only original once. You just have to just repeat that until it becomes part of your DNA.
Would you do something to reattach that sweatband?
No, I wouldn't.
Nope. I wouldn't either. Yep. Nope.
But you could unsnap it. I might.
But then you run the risk of fucking it up, and it's
probably will. So the front part of this headband is literally hanging by about 1/8 of an inch of webbing in here, and it's going to come off. So I might detach it, just because I don't want it flopping around, like to actually cause damage to itself. But I probably won't. But you could. But no, I will not touch that in any way, shape, or form. Not at all. Because there's levels of, do I play with it or don't I? And that is a don't play with it helmet. Because if you play with it, the value of that helmet is gone.
Yeah, and that's a fucking, also it's a holy grail. Like, it's so uncommon.
Yeah.
That you got the early Westinghouse with the fucking rectangular washers.
Yeah. It's
like, I mean, yeah, you're right. That thing probably sat most of the time.
Yep.
on a shelf or something. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
It's like it still was there, and it's got the guy cared enough to put the insignia or have it put on by somebody else, like a private somebody. And that 29th helmet, man, that's when I saw it the other day on your stories, I was like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
It's a nice one. It's a nice find. And then this has been a really good week at Jmurray Inc. I know I showed you this before, but this is an original M2. So that's an original
That's
Airborne. See the D rings there?
Yep.
And the beauty of this one is it's dent free. There's one tiny little stress crack in the back that you can just barely feel. But
that's in beautiful shape, though.
But the chin strap loops the D rings are intact. 100%.
And the chin strap itself is intact.
And they're the textbook kind with the nickel.
Yeah, nice.
See?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what you want to see. Like that. This is how I built. When I do these in my shop, this is what I strive to do.
Yeah. And like you made, okay, so this M2 that you restored for me, let me unsnap this. Yep, you got the nickel right here.
Yep.
It's a lot newer, of course, because it's new hardware, but
same idea.
It's beautiful. I mean, just absolutely fucking beautiful.
So I would say these are rare.
Yes.
And then rare. And then when you do find them, you need to find them where the chin strap loop, the D ring is not busted off. I don't think the camera can pick this up, but where the foot of the chin strap loop welds to the helmet, there's hardly any steel. I could take one of these and just bend it over with my thumb.
For sure. Yep.
And so these did not make it. They just did not make it. And so when you find one that's intact,
Here's a little question for you. Have you ever found an original medic's helmet, like the one behind you?
That is an original.
Oh, with the original World War II paint?
No, that's not. So this is an original medic helmet, but it's post-war.
Okay. Yeah. Have you ever found an original World War II one that still had the medic paint on it?
I have. Yep. I found one once. I had a 3-panel medic helmet, so it would have had a big panel on the front and then 2 off kind of to the side rear. And the interesting thing about that one is the person who used that helmet did their best to get rid of it. So it was what I call a remnant helmet. So it was still fully intact and still you could tell it was a medic, but the guy wearing it tried to get rid of the medic panels, which I've read that's not that uncommon. The Germans
made him a target.
I think the Germans and the Americans respected as best they could the medics, because medics would be required to help anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so
and they still are today.
Yeah. And so, but medics still were like, screw this, I'm getting this thing off my helmet. I don't want to be a target.
Well, right. And it's also like, you also don't want to give up your position for your guys.
Right. Yeah.
So that means more work for you.
You have to be really careful with medic helmets because those medic helmets are the easiest ones to fake. Because it's just red and white paint. And honestly, man, it's hard to trust painted helmets. I could do a whole podcast about how if you're a 15 to 25-year-old kid and you're just getting into helmet collecting and you honestly think that your whole collection is going to be painted helmets, you're in for a world of hurt.
It's like SS collecting, helmet collecting.
Yeah.
It's like, unless you know the intricacies and the absolute, like, it's just kind of a thing you develop over time, which sucks because when you're young, that's when you want to get into it and everything like that. Yeah. And then you end up fucking yourself.
Yep.
And I fucked myself, not on SS shit, but like, it's like you get burned very often when you're young because the older guys are like, oh, easy target.
Yep.
And you get dishonest people. And yeah, it's like, that's why I made a video a while back, a couple years back. I'm going to probably remake it soon about if you're getting into helmet collecting, specifically in German helmets, because that's the most popular thing, stay the fuck away from SS and Fallschirmjäger helmets, like the paratrooper helmets.
Oh yeah,
stay away from them because 99.9% of them are fake.
And British dispatch rider helmets too.
Oh well, I had a legit one of those a few years ago and sold it. I should have kept it.
So British para is what I'm saying. Those are
because they just took that shell and they redid the liner to a semi-Riddell style. It was kind of it was weird, but but those things, those are fucking rare as hen's teeth as well, because it's just like, so the Fallschirmjäger helmets, they had 10,000 paratroopers in the Luftwaffe in World War II. Okay. Of that, they probably made, I don't know, 15, 20,000 helmets. Most of those got used and whatever, lost or captured or whatever, and then got turned into colanders after the war.
Mm-hmm.
And so to find an original one, which I've actually seen two recently on an auction that were legit, 2 out of thousands are legit, and they actually went for what they were, valued. Like the one went for, it was a double decal early M38. It still had the original Dunkelgrau on there.
You wonder how it survived the war.
No, because it was probably
captured post-war.
It was probably captured by a soldier, and they just put it in their attic or some shit as a cool, because it was different than most of the German helmets. So like they're like, oh, this is unique, this is cool, and whatever. And because this one was like fucking top. I don't have the pictures right now, but like top notch, and it went for I think like 9,000, and I'm like, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
the liner was in good shape too. It was used, but it wasn't fucked. And so but like most of these things that I see going on auctions, like the SS helmets, quote unquote, and the fucking FJ helmets that are going for over $1,000, I'm like, dude, that's a fucking $400 helmet tops. Yeah. Or that's a repro and it's worth like $200.
Yep.
I'm like, God, you fucking don't get excited.
I see that a lot with the M1 helmets going for crazy money on auctions and on websites and stuff, and you're looking at it and you're like, man, someone's gonna have a bad day when they find out the truth about that. But I still say though, the beauty of M1 helmet collecting is you can have so much fun collecting M1 helmets, and out of the headgear from the major players in World War II, I still feel like the M1 helmet has such good variety to collect, and you can get originals. They're still, you can still find deals, and they're abundant. Like I said, Hawley liners are not rare. St. Clair's are not rare. Hood rubbers are right now are kind of
those are, you're getting a little bit
they come and they're funny. They come and go. I mean, it used to not be that way, but it's like there's really nothing M1 helmet related that there's just not a lot of rarities. So it's fun to collect because you're going to build up a really nice collection pretty quick.
Yep. If you know what to look for, and you do, that's what I tell people on my channel is like, I go, spend your first $1,000 of collecting on research material, like books and like actual.
I'm gonna step away real quick. I want to get something.
Yeah, no worries. And then start collecting and like talk to people and whatever. And don't just say like, how much is this worth? That's not the questions you should be asking. You should go, I found this. I think it's this. What do you think it is? And like bounce it off. And like, that's how you start a conversation and like figure out how much you should be paying for something, or if you get a good deal. Don't just like buy something, because this happens in the gun community, like the military surplus gun community. People will buy something and be like, oh, I got that for this much. How did I do? And it's like, we got fucked. But I'm not going to sit there and spend the time to tell you how you got fucked because you're just lazy.
Yeah, I did that with my 1903. I've got an 03A3. It's a National Ordnance reproduction with.
Yep. There's a fun story about my National Ordnance, but yeah.
And at the time I bought it at the gun shop that was right around from my house when I lived up in Birchwood. At the time there was this one, the National Ordnance, the re-arsenal, and then there was it wasn't an A3. It was just I think it was just a plain 1903. But the furniture and the finish on the National Ordnance were nicer than the other one, so I bought the National Ordnance instead of the other one. And now looking back on it, the other one probably had a little bit more providence to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and for the life of me, I can't remember what the stamp on the receiver was.
Yeah.
yeah, Mike said something that I want to go back to, and that's the first $1,000 you spend should be on materials.
Research materials. Yep.
That's something that I found. Another reason why I like doing, and I like your shorts, by the way, when you, not your shorts like on your body, but those YouTube shorts.
I love those. Those are my favorite ones.
You don't like these, Josh?
When those YouTube shorts are so informative, because that's how the younger generation of collectors and people who want to learn are consuming information.
Yep. That's why my wife said you need to do those. And I was
Yeah,
like, yep.
because they're and it's not, you could make it an insult, but and I don't mean it this way, but they just don't read. My son
Right.
my son is 18, and he is so smart with history, and he picks it up on YouTube, he picks it up on shorts, he picks it up on just alternate ways to learn this stuff, whereas when I was a kid, I had a kid's version of the Britannica, and
me too.
if you
yeah.
wanted to learn about, Plymouth Rock, you'd get the flipping Britannica out and read everything you could. It's all we had.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
And so I think it's exciting, this new way of learning. But you said about the
Yeah, the problem with the new way of learning with the internet is you don't know how to curate the information. There's so much information, you don't know what's legit and what isn't.
Yep, it's not a perfect system, but it is pretty amazing what you can,
Oh yeah.
You can. Oh my God. So I am gonna promote somebody else's work. I hope you don't mind, but I think
I love doing that.
This is the best $40 that you can buy before you buy any helmet ever. Get this book. You know this, Mike, from watching my stuff. I promote this guy's books so much.
You should, because it's good.
It's
I'm gonna
beautiful.
look on Amazon right now, see if it's available there.
You can get this book on Amazon right now. I think if the Prime deal is still going on, for like $36. And
what's the author's name?
Mark Renosa. So this guy wrote this. This is really interesting. This guy wrote this book as part of his
$36 on Amazon right now.
Yes.
Jake, can you post a link in the chat?
What's that called when you need to write something to get your degree? Is it a thesis or a?
Oh no, it's a
dissertation.
Dissertation. Yep.
This is it.
It depends on the level of the degree.
PhD is dissertation.
So this guy's an engineer, and he had to choose something to.
I have to share the link in private chat, and you'll have to share it.
Okay. He had to choose something to write about and to dissertate. I'm sorry, I didn't go to college, and this is it.
Nice.
Well, I did, but I'm not using my degree.
This is my original copy that I bought back in 1999, and I don't have the slip cover anymore. But I can tell you that I have flipped through this book thousands of times. So it's the story time, but check it out. I mean, I went through this book page by page, and then I'm like, you know what? Here's the Holly, right?
Yep.
And I went through this book page by page, and I'm like, I want to get one of every helmet in this book. And that's what I did. That's how I got into collecting, was this book right here. And the information in it is based on all fact.
Yep.
It's not a complete work, because this is like 20 years old or more. More information is surfaced. But as far as its backbone to M1 helmet collecting, you gotta have it. I
agreed. Yep.
It would save so much heartbreak. So much heartbreak.
That's what I mean by, like, because here's the thing is, like, even with the modern way of learning and, like, going on YouTube and TikTok or whatever and watching short videos or even like 5-minute videos, there's nothing that can compare to having a physical book,
Mm-hmm.
even with technology. Because here's the thing: if the electricity is turned off tomorrow in the world, the grid, the world grid goes down. Guess what? You've still got the fucking book.
Yep.
It's
right.
there. It's going to be there.
It doesn't
And
rely
that's
on
why-
batteries.
What?
It doesn't rely on batteries.
No, it doesn't rely on anything except you opening it and reading it.
Well,
and
we'll wrap up soon.
but yeah, it's books are. That's why I have a massive amount of books,
Mm-hmm.
and they just sit there for most of the time. Once in a while, I go and I flip through them, and it's fun because on some of them you go, oh, that's bullshit. That's been disproven. All that shit, but it's still there. You can say, hey, it's disproven because of this, this, and this. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I encourage people, even the younger people, before you spend $1,000 on 3 helmets from World War II.
Which people do all the time.
I know. And I was like, just get good knowledge. And that again, because they're always like, what do I buy? What book do I buy? And I'm like, it's going to take you about 10 minutes to figure out what the best book to start out is. You just showed one of the best, or probably the best for the M1.
Mm-hmm.
For the Stahlhelm, like the German helmets, I don't even fucking know because there's so much content about those. But yeah, it's like, look at what other people in the past have purchased and how they've succeeded in collecting.
Yep.
And there's that. And yeah, anyway, so yeah, German helmets are another. Jesus, that's the thing, is like, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none when it comes to like military history. I don't know. I don't specialize in one particular thing that's like super good.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, I mean, I love German helmets. They're fun. And it was cool to know that, yeah, hey, this is an original M42. I know that because I can see the shell, and it also has the make and mark and all that shit, the stamp in here.
Is that the type with like a little bit of a flare on the rim?
Yeah, it's the M42. Yep, this is the last one where they have the raw edge.
Yep.
Yep.
I have one sitting back here. My grandpa brought home.
They're pretty cool. And then
see it on top of my fridge if you look real close.
Yep, definitely. Yep.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then
I saw it back there when we first started the stream.
I've got this one too. It's another M42, but it's a bigger size. It's a size 68 that fits me.
Wire. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got this chicken wire from a guy in Czech Republic, who hand spins it himself to match exactly the gauge and the twists of his original examples.
Yeah.
And then I made this basket. This is mine. It's from the film, but like this is fucking cool. I really like this. That's the exact kind of chicken wire they use in Normandy and thereon. Did you watch my video about why they use chicken wire instead of just nets? Because they had nets. Hedgerows.
Oh.
When they were going through the hedgerows, it would tear their cloth covers and it would just shear the paint off because it's so thick.
Got it.
And so they started acquiring chicken wire to attach foliage that wouldn't tear off, or like the wire itself wouldn't tear off. And they started using that from Normandy on the Western Front. So if you see like chicken wire on the Eastern Front early on, or like in Italy, generally did not happen. But yeah, chicken wire is a cool look and whatever. But yeah, there's so many things you can get into, like rabbit holes with history. And for the good of everyone, you got down the M1 rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And so you specialize in that. You're very good at what you do. And you can also, like we were talking about the YouTube shit, you can have that knowledge be passed on forever. Because I mean, you're not going to live forever. I'm not going to live forever. Neither is Jake. And it's like, but if that knowledge is out there and it gets people, interactive with the subject, then the history of the M1 won't ever die. So,
you want to hear a cool story?
Yeah,
and it's just a cool story, and so I'm part of it, but I don't take credit. Let's say it was a catalyst. Long time ago, I sold a helmet to a kid. And he wanted medic panels on it, and so I did that. I used to do that in house quite often, and I sent it to him. And that helmet, he would sleep with it, and like next to his pillow, like instead of a binky or a teddy bear.
Yeah.
And the medic helmet inspired this kid so much that he started to learn about medics and what medics do and what they did and all that kind of thing. He ended up becoming a medical doctor. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, no, it's
And I'm like, all that from a helmet that he bought when he was a kid caused that kind of inspiration. And I mean, man, that's awesome.
yeah, absolutely. It's if you can get people, young people.
You were an inspiration for somebody.
As an inspiration.
Not for him.
He's like my dad. His farts are the worst.
Yeah, the person. Yeah, Jesus.
You're just inspiring him and what not to do with his life.
Yeah, but anyway, that's all. Like if you can put that spark in, some younger person's brain,
yeah,
and they carry through with it, that's all that matters, because then the history stays alive.
Yeah, and you know what, and that's a this is like a nice let's all hug moment, right? But that also helps take the edge off that 2% of people who just want to chew your ass.
Dude, I've had a YouTube channel for about a little over 10 years now. I mean, I've had it since 2009, but I had to delete my first channel because I was an idiot and had a bunch of shit. But anyway, no, I don't give a I used to give a shit a lot about, I would focus on that 2% of retards, right? That are just vitriol spewing pieces of shit because they're miserable, and now I focus on, I met a guy at this event this summer that goes, yeah, I've been watching you since I was young. And he's in the military right now. And he's like, yeah, I've been watching your videos for a long time and I like it. And a guy that I also know that I met like in person for the first time at this event, he's a veteran. We were in the military at the same time. He was active duty and everything. He went to Afghanistan, I went to Iraq. And he said, yeah, I started watching you when you first started making videos because you're no bullshit and whatever. And it inspired me to like start collecting and shit and like, what to look for.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Cause it's like, it's just, you don't know. If you focus on that 2%, it's not worth it.
Right.
And like I said, I used to give a shit about that. Now I'm just like, go fuck yourself. Maybe someday you'll figure it out. But right now, go fuck yourself. But no, it's really cool. That's why, again, I think I would encourage you to, if you need help, like how to like set things up and organize like a series of like, what you want to do for a certain stuff. Because there's so many things at the M1, my God, that you could make an entire series on just the fucking loops, the bales, and like all that stuff. And then, we should.
My man is squirreling out on me.
Dude, we've been at it for almost 4 hours. Tell him fucking thanks.
Is that a record?
Oh no, but it's close.
This is what happens though when 3 guys from the Midwest get together.
Yeah, and then the goodbye is going to take another 2.5 hours.
And there's no lineys involved.
Yeah. I got you a case of Leinenkugels. Yeah. Yeah. But no, anyway, we're gonna wrap it up because I gotta go to bed. Oh my God, it's fucking 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I never stay up this late. I'm usually in bed by 8.
Well, this is fun. I'm glad.
Yeah, and we could definitely keep this a regular thing, like, because it's, again, like I was saying, we just barely scratched the surface.
I know.
Yeah, just like last week with Trey, I learned so much that I didn't even know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun, and also the props are great. It's good when you have props. That's why I use props in my videos.
Yeah, props are fun.
Props are very fun.
I have lots of props I didn't even use, so I'll just keep them here for next time.
Yeah, exactly. For next time, absolutely, because Brian, my friend, needs to come on here, and you guys,
man,
it's good because
McCallion.
Yep.
I think he was super hot. He must have been doing something because that name just kept coming across my orders like nonstop.
Yeah, I think because he made a short film before we did Reveille, and he might have gotten a lot of work done for there, and like or had parts and stuff. But he's an absolute, like, I know a little bit about the M1, not that much because again, I'm jack of all trades, master of none. But for you guys, and that'd be good timing for like the next episode of like going into more detail about certain variations, like you just said, like the early Westinghouse, the transitional with the rayon, and then the fucking rectangular washers and all that shit. And so that'd be pretty cool. So
put that on the outline for next show.
Definitely.
I'm down.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat, I wasn't expecting the stream to last so long. It's like, yeah, it's gone. But yeah, it's just like, this is how we bullshit. And this is just a bullshit session.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And thanks to Mike for, introducing me to, so many knowledgeable people to expand my knowledge level.
Well, that's how I learn too. Like, I don't just, I don't just learn things. Like, I have to talk to people that are more knowledgeable about shit than I am. And that's how I learn. And it's fun.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing. So anyway, yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up. And
sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for showing up. And
subscribe, head over to Mike's Patreon, support him at the $5 level, and you get access to the Discord.
Woo.
Discord's fun. Very fun.
A lot of fun.
Discord.
That's all right, Josh. Yeah,
all right.
Discord. Yeah, I'm going to end the stream. Just stay put for a couple minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. So, all right, thanks guys for watching. And if you're rewatching this after we streamed, what's the word that I want to have them comment? What's a fun word?
Father.
McCord.
McCord. Yeah, McCord. Okay.
McCord.
MCCORD. Comment with McCord if you made it this long, rewatching this stream at a later date.
Right on.
All right. Thanks, guys. All right. End stream.